Well, how you doing?
Good. All right, I just want to go over a couple of things real quick. I'm here today with Jeremy Dewitte. My name is Corporal John Ramsey. I'm also here with
Sergeant Keith Vidler.
And Acting Sergeant Sean Wasco.
Okay, so just real quick, I want to swear you in real quick. So raise your right hand for me. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay. Today we're at PSD at 2500 West Colonial Drive at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. It is 13:09 hours. Today's date is September 26th, 2019. So let me ask you real quick, because I know they had to go get you somewhere else. I guess you were at the front or something. Anybody talk to you or discuss anything about this on the way here, or just general conversation, right? And nobody since you've been in the room. I'm just making sure so everybody knows that it's on tape.
The only thing that was discussed was I asked you a video,
okay,
and he said he didn't bring it.
Yeah,
he's working on getting it.
There's one of my guys videotaped it from the phone. His phone he's gonna send. He sent it to me and I want to see if he still has it. He does. He's gonna send it.
Are you able to pull it up on your phone so we can at least see it today?
Yeah, if he can send it to me. If not, the computer's been dismantled at our new office. If you give me less than 24 hours, I can put it back together and get it down.
Okay. Where's your new office at?
At a new location.
Oh, you don't want to share that?
Not really.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I mean, just so if we have to follow up to come talk, nowhere to go.
You know, the thing is we've been getting follows up the last week, last 2 weeks. So I'm a little deputied out right now, with all due respect.
With all due respect, I don't think Jeremy is ever all deputied out. So thanks for watching PT's Far Removed Uncle. We're going to be listening to a Jeremy Dewitte interview that he did in 2019 to try to clear his name or something. Going to be very interesting. Another one with Sergeant Keith Vidler and Corporal John Ramsey doing the interviewing in this one. Now, this is shortly after Jeremy Dewitte finds out that he's under investigation by the Orange County Sheriff's Department, 10 days after the Blue Jacket Park incident, and this is only 2 days after that Jeremy Dewitte had his business partner,
Michael Breen,
and talking friend go in and talk to the sheriff of Orange County, John Mena, and tell him to cut the investigation off of Jeremy Dewitte and fire Sergeant Keith Vidler, get these officers off of Jeremy Dewitte's back because there's money to be made here. Let's go ahead and listen to this. It's going to be very interesting. And there's one favor I want to ask of you while you're listening to this. I want you to help make notes. If you hear anything interesting, I want you to leave a comment down below with a timestamp, just like it shows on the screen here in this format, and then just note what was interesting about that so we can review it, because looking back at this, knowing what we know now after so much time has passed, it's going to be very interesting to dissect this interview. And so we're going to need the whole community to participate in it. That means you. So leave as many comments as you want with these timestamps and little notes. That way we can all participate in figuring it out. Let's go ahead and get into this now.
All right, that's fine. All right, so obviously we're here because of an incident that occurred. This is back on September 17th, right?
September 16th.
16th?
Yeah, 16.
16th, okay. All right, so if you want, go ahead and tell us what happened that day. What was your function that day? What were you all doing? And then just take us from the start to up to the incident.
So as you know, we were doing it for Walden's Funeral Home. Sergeant Vidler's already made contact with them. So how it started, we had the funeral home, or the church, in Eatonville. We left Eatonville heading towards Mills, 1792. Came up on Mills, made the right, kept the funeral in the far right lane. We stayed in the left.
Who stayed in the left?
Our guys stayed in the left.
In the left
lane of the three.
Okay.
As we moved down, we went through Winter Park, not a problem. As we came up to Orlando Avenue and Mills, my last unit reported that there was a black Dodge Ram that was cutting into the funeral. The families were blaring their horns. We didn't make contact with him at that point. I was like, well, maybe he's going to turn at Orlando to head towards the hospital. He didn't. He continued riding with the funeral. The family was trying to speed up and go around him. Every time the cars tried to go, this is what my last unit was advising. I didn't see this myself. Every time the cars tried to go up and around him because they knew he wasn't part of the funeral, he would try to weave in front of them so they couldn't go around him.
Can I just stop you real quick?
Sure.
Because I don't want to lose my train of thought. So first, that's 3 lanes right there, right?
Yes,
So you were keeping them in the far right lane, so closest to the sidewalk.
correct.
And then your guys were using the center lane.
That is correct.
And so let me ask you, how do they know that this vehicle is not part of the funeral procession?
It didn't have its high beams or hazards on. And
So,
without
so it didn't have headlights or hazards. Okay,
Correct.
that's what I want to make sure of. Okay.
and without sounding disrespectful or because I'm definitely very far from racist, it was a very, very important, prominent person of the black community.
Mhm.
And usually when white people are in a black funeral, they don't belong, or vice versa. And then when we were leaving the church, also when we were making the right onto Mills, we all watched what car was what. We always advise what the last 4 to 5 cars are, so we know when
Right,
to start
yeah,
moving
right.
and things of that nature.
How many vehicles?
There was a total of 98 at that time.
98 vehicles?
Yes, sir.
Just one more question. How many people were working for you that day?
Contract, I had 6 people on that escort.
How many people were working for you that day during the escort?
My contract people were there was 6 of us.
Okay, well, I guess that's what I'm confused about. What do you mean contract?
Well, for some reason, there's something going around. I don't know if it's you or Sergeant Vidler or Orange County Sheriff's Office. I don't really understand, and everyone keeps asking the same question. And now I have a Department of Labor lady at my office trying to talk to us, and it could be Tony. I don't really know at this point.
Who's Tony?
The landlord that we're trying to evac from as fast as possible.
Okay, so that's where you were.
1790 or 1725 Lee Road. Yes.
Leroy, okay,
Yes,
okay.
For some reason, I don't know why, there's a question about the employees. My men aren't employees, are all 1099 contractors, so I don't really understand what that has to do with anything, but that's neither here nor there, so I'm just making it very clear while I'm explaining now that the contractors that I hired that day were working for me.
How many contractors did you
There
have
was
that
total of us of 6.
6,
So,
including yourself?
that is correct.
Okay. So there was, in just layman terms, there was 5 employees plus you. Correct?
If we're saying employees per layman's
Okay,
terms,
well,
sure.
Even if it's 1099, it's
Right.
still an employee. It's just that they're
They're
responsible
contracted
for it.
for themselves.
Correct. Right.
Correct.
They're responsible for their own.
Roger.
They provide their own equipment. They're responsible for providing their own gas. They're responsible for providing everything. All you're doing is saying, "Come work with
Yes,
me
sir.
on this," and you
Yes,
pay
sir.
them. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay. So there's a total of 6. Okay, go ahead.
So as we crossed Orlando Avenue, the funeral, because it goes to 2 lanes, we started to shift them over to the next lane, which is technically the center lane of Mills at that point. The truck then continued to follow with him. At Orlando and Mills, my rear officer or rear man said to him, "Hey," because the family's blowing their horns on him and trying to get around him, and he keeps kind of weaving in front of them. "Hey, you're not part of the funeral. Come on." At this point, the gentleman in the truck rolls down his window, flicks him off, and tells him to go fuck himself.
Now, this person that you're talking about, this one of your guys, was he on a bike or on a?
He was in a car, but he was
car. Okay.
yeah.
And that's your car?
I'm sorry.
That's a Metro State car?
Correct.
Registered to who? To him?
To the company.
Okay.
To the Metro State company?
Right.
Okay. Hold on. So it's a vehicle, not a bike. And who was that officer that he flipped off?
That was well, his name is, I call him Recycle, and I'm sorry, I don't know my employees' names, believe it or not.
How many do you have?
I don't have employees, I have contractors.
How many contractors do you have?
I have like 20,
20?
25.
Well, because I remember because you were starting off small, so you had about 7 or 8
Right.
several years ago.
Can I interrupt real quick? Jeremy, when I talked to you at the scene there, when we were discussing some incidents, your comment to me, and that's why I'm trying to get the number correct, you said that you can't be everywhere because you have 30 employees, is what you told me on body cam.
We have a couple of guys that are snowbirds.
Okay.
And,
So, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out. You told me you had 30 employees, but you're telling him you had 20. I'm just trying to figure it out.
It's 20, 25 guys.
Okay.
They're here in Orlando. Well, they're in the central area.
Okay.
Some of them live in DeLand, some of them live in Lakeland. But I have 6 guys that are actually snowbirds. One lives in New York, one lives in Illinois. 2 living in Illinois, 1 in New York. I have 2 in Montana or something. Anyways.
But anyway, so the one you can't remember his name. He was in a vehicle. He pulled up next to.
It's Recycle is.
Nicknames Recycle.
Yeah, Steven.
Okay, so Steven. Do you know his last name?
I don't off the top of my head, Court, but I can get it for you.
If you could, please, because I just want to make sure we follow up and talk to him to
Sure.
get the demeanor of this person in the truck.
He was 12 at the scene when they cuffed him up. So
Okay.
yeah, but okay.
When
You guys should have that information on paperwork.
I arrested Steven?
Well, everyone detained him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which one I can remember the 2 that were standing there. Was he the real skinny guy, or was he the one wearing the yellow shirt?
The yellow shirt.
The yellow shirt, okay.
So at this point, the truck gets into the funeral and stays in the funeral. Recycle clears the intersection, starts to move up the line, and relieves the next unit at the traffic light. And I'm sorry, I don't know the name of that street, where if you make the right, it takes you to Florida Hospital ER, right there at the lake as soon as you cross the
I know
bridge.
exactly.
Okay. So
Rollins or something like that right there?
I think so.
Mhm.
It's the one right before Princeton.
Right, it's yeah. Mhm.
So he relieved the gentleman that was there and stopped there. Saw the truck coming still. Same kind of scenario, saying that the family was trying to go around him. They're honking and flashing their headlights at him.
How fast were you all going in the procession during this time?
Christy with Walden, she drives.
Average speed.
She doesn't even drive over 20 miles an hour. She drives very, very slow.
Who's that?
She's the owner of Walden Funeral Home, Christy.
Okay, so Christy was driving, and so your procession was going about 20 miles an hour?
Yeah, about 20, maybe 25.
What's the speed limit right there on Mills?
35. Or well,
35,
once you enter Orlando's jurisdiction, it's 30. But it's Winter Park, it's 35. In Orlando, it's 40.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's between 35 and 40 right in the area that you're at.
right.
And you're saying she was doing about 20.
20,
I'm just trying to figure
sure.
out.
20, 25. That she drives a little slow.
But that's not a problem.
That's the only way we keep the funerals together that are large like that.
Okay.
So, Recycle relieved Photo, which is the skinny one. Photo then moved on. Recycle advised that the same thing was happening. He got out and he's like, "Come on, get out of the funeral." And the guy just drove on by. No, he didn't roll down his window at this time. But as soon as he passed him, the family member tried to go up and around him, and he swerved in front of him, and he advised me of that.
The black truck swerved?
Yeah, the black truck swerved to try to, or no, yeah, the family was trying to go around him because they knew, and the black truck swerved to stop him from going around. So Recycle advised me of that. At this point, I was at Princeton and Mills. I was like, all right, well, I was in a truck that day. I wasn't on a motor that day.
You were in a truck or
Yeah.
SUV?
The Tahoe
Okay,
SUV.
so SUV, okay.
At that point, I said to my guys, well, let me hop out and see if we can get him out. So I hopped out. I was in the left wheel, or the left lane. They were in the right. And I was like, hey, come over here. Come here. You're not part of the funeral.
Okay, so you were in the left lane?
Right.
So the center lane or the very far left into...
At that point, it's only 2 lanes.
Okay, so make sure.
Right.
We're going, okay.
So I'm waving him over. I'm like, hey, you're not part of the funeral. Come on. At this point, he slows down. So I'm thinking he's going to either turn right on Princeton or he's listening, one or the other. He slows down, and then he turns towards me, and then he accelerates very rapidly. I throw my hands, hit the hood, and push myself off and kind of kick back with him hitting me. And I fall back to the edge.
So wait, so you're... I'll just make sure I write this down. So you're in left lane.
Correct.
I gotta look at that intersection.
All right, and he comes up to you. You're trying to wave him out.
Right.
All right, and
That-
then
that's
he
intersection
continues
of what?
to accelerate.
Princeton and Mills.
How fast was he going when he accelerated towards you?
Well, he was in the funeral line, and they were doing, like I said, about 25. So at that point, he slowed down. So I'm thinking he was going to turn right, and I advised my guys. I was like, he's probably turning right here.
I'm just trying. How fast was he going when he accelerated towards you? How fast was he going? Because then you said he accelerated. So was he like doing 25?
Well,
and then
as he slowed down, like he was going to stop almost. Okay. And then he angled towards me, turned towards me, and then he accelerated. You could hear the engine rev. I can't tell you how fast he was going. He was coming directly at me.
Okay.
So he's coming. I hit the hood. I hit it a couple times to push myself off. I fall back. I grab my balance. I stand up. As I'm standing up, he has the window down. He advised me. He's like, "You want to go to jail?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You're in a funeral. You keep cutting in and out of the funeral. The family's telling you to get out. You got to get out of the funeral." He's like, "I'm a police officer. I'm going to take you to jail." I was like, "You're going to take me to jail for what? You keep cutting in and out of the funeral. You need to get out." At this point, he laughs, rolls up the window, and cuts right back into the funeral, cuts the funeral off, and the family has to slam on their brakes, and they're hitting their horn. At this point, the recycle comes up, relieves me. ASAP's at Brandel, who's the one who got 15 for open carry.
Okay, so the guy who relieved you?
Recycle.
What was he driving?
The Charger.
The Charger, okay.
Right.
And he relieved you, so he stayed there while you continued on?
Right. Okay. Because at the end of the day, no matter what, we still have to run the escort. So I went on, relieved ASAP at Virginia and Mills. ASAP went up to, Nebraska and Mills. And ASAP went up to go grab, while it was green, Virginia and Mills. The funeral moved over to the left to go ahead and make the left turn. The truck was riding along with them. As the funeral shifted to go to the left turning lane, the truck stayed in the far right lane. So at this point, we think he's done again. So he continues down the lane. At the last second, he comes over, turns left from the right far lane in the actual intersection block past the white line, turns left aggressively and starts racing towards ASAP. ASAP has to lean the bike. In the truck, he goes very close. Whether I wasn't...
Now, did you see all that? Or
I did see that, but because of the truck...
Did you have that on video?
No, because I'm in the truck, so my body camera is being blocked by the steering wheel. I did see that. However, the truck, as it passes the motorcycle, I can't see how close he is because the truck's blocking the actual...
Always I ask because,
we do have Randall's video where he does that. Randall sees that on his body camera.
We'd want to speak to them.
Right.
Okay.
So now the funeral's in the... We make the left onto Virginia. They're in the right lane. He's now back in the funeral, slamming on his brakes on purpose, and the family has to keep hitting their brakes. Then he would accelerate, slam on his brakes. Accelerate, slam on his brakes. I take Virginia and Mills. ASAP moves up to... I don't know the cross street. It's where the Orlando Fire Department... Fern Creek in Virginia. ASAP takes that light, and at this point, we're like, okay, he's not going to stop. He's saying he's a cop. Let's call 911. Because every time, even though the light's green and the funeral's... Go ahead.
You didn't call 911 until you were at Nebraska and where?
Well, we already started... We already called 911. But when we called, it was... They were talking to me. Now, ASAP's deciding to call also. He didn't know that I was on the phone with 911 at that point.
So when did you call 911?
I called 911 when I left Princeton and Mills, when I was moving up to...
When you first had your first interaction with them?
Correct, where he hit me with the truck.
Okay, that's when you called 911?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know if they called 911?
Who's they?
The people in the truck.
I can't tell you that. The windows were tinted. I did see that he had a phone, or his wife had a phone.
Okay, was she on the phone?
She had it by her head. So, yes.
Okay. And just one part of that, when you said you hit the hood of the truck, where was that at? On the middle, the side?
It was... So if quarter panel front hood, so it was where the headlight is, because as he's coming like this, I'm stepping back.
So it was on the passenger side?
No, driver.
Driver's side, okay.
So they're at Fern Creek and Virginia. He just keeps slamming on his brakes. The light's green, and he stops at the light on purpose at the green light. So the family's having to go up and around him now. He lets 3 or 4 cars go around him, and then he accelerates. At this point, I'm coming down Virginia to relieve Randall ASAP. ASAP then goes to Nebraska.
So this guy's following you for the whole funeral?
From Orlando Avenue all the way until we get to General Reese. Yes.
Okay.
Doing the same thing all the way.
Was the left lane open at all?
Was the left lane for...
Well, you said the 95 cars are in the right lane. What's happening with the left lane? Is it wide open? Does he have the option of going in the left lane, or is there?
He has the option, but he's not.
But is there multiple cars in the lane?
There is no cars. At any time, he could have left and got in the left lane and left.
Okay, so he
Well,
chose
while
to.
you're on that question,
Yeah.
was your bikes in the left lane?
Yeah.
Like I've seen before, were there bikes in the left lane?
Yes,
with their
they
light-
were.
Okay,
but
with their lights on.
yes, but
Okay, no further questions.
but at any time, he could have left in that left lane.
Okay, I just let's
Yeah.
get to where you wind up where he's no
So,
longer part of it.
Now we're coming around the bend at the park that's there. I forget the name of the park. And I live a block from it.
Hang on, I got it here.
Anyways,
I'm following you on the map when you're giving your locations.
we're coming around the bend.
Yeah.
It's a weird intersection because of the way you come from the park.
Right.
So,
It's called
You're talking about the flower park?
yes, the flower park, sure.
I know what you're talking about. Go
It's
on.
an extremely sharp right-hand turn. So at that point,
Yep.
because we have to go to General Reese, we started to slide them at that traffic light over to the left lane. He continues in, then he slides into the left lane with the funeral. We are in the right lane now. I move up to Bumby and now it's Corrine. Bumby and Corrine. And Randall goes up to Winter Park Boulevard or Winter Park Drive and Corrine. The truck's in the left lane. We're going down the line. He then aggressively jumps out of the lane, starts shooting up. He passes about 6 cars, heading right towards Randall. Randall gets on his motorcycle and slides it to the right so he can drive by. So Randall's not even in the actual lane anymore. He comes to a stop. Then he turns left and pulls into the funeral at an aggressive left, making the family slam on their brakes. And then, all the way at this point, we're waiting for 911 or for OPD.
So now he's all the way at the front of the...
No,
escort
he's not
race?
at the front. He's probably about halfway at this point.
Okay.
So, as we're going, he just keeps slamming on his brakes, slamming, going. So he does it the whole way. As we make the left onto General Reese, he goes out wide. My guy's sitting here at a 45. He goes out wide and goes out and around. So we're thinking he's going to go straight again. But then he cuts back out and around the motor, cuts back and heads into the traffic. And they have to slam on their brakes as they're making the
And
left-hand
that's
turn.
just a 2-lane road by now,
The
right?
very tight 2-lane.
Okay.
And at that point, because we already have the 2 cars in front, or the 2 motors in front, to go grab the last couple of lights to the Piney Woods Cemetery,
Right.
that's when OPD shows up, and they go down the wrong side and pull them over into Blue Jacket Park.
Go down the wrong, so what do you mean?
They went oncoming to go to his vehicle.
Okay. So they had, because of the funeral procession, obviously, they could not get there without going against traffic. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Right.
All right. So then what happened? You get there, OPD shows up.
First
I
thing
wasn't there, so
sure.
pretend like...
Okay. First thing he does?
I know very little, so I'm getting majority of it
Yeah,
from you right now.
you guys all hate me, and you hate
No,
Metro State.
Jeremy, I don't hate you, and I don't hate Metro State. We've had
Okay.
this conversation before, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So immediately he hops out of the truck and he slings the star around his neck. He looks exactly like that,
Okay.
but the sheriff's star holder is round.
Is it a white guy, black guy? I don't
White
know the
guy.
identity. Okay.
He's not heavy set, but he's stocky. The OPD officer started talking to Recycle and me in the very beginning, asking what happened. We didn't even get 3 words out of our mouths. As soon as he gets out of the vehicle and puts the badge around his neck, everyone goes to him.
Okay.
And that's where it was. Next thing you know, 2 lieutenants show up, Sergeant Viller shows up, on and on.
Okay. So once the lieutenant showed up and Sergeant Vidler, what occurred then?
They talked to him over by his vehicle. They talked to us. They asked me to write a statement. I believe they had Randall write a statement too. And recycle, if I remember correctly. I'm sorry, I don't remember. But I believe they wrote statements as well. At that point, Sergeant Vidler, came over and told me he was there to arrest me, but ultimately, after he talked to the deputy, I guess one-on-one, he came back and asked me to write a statement.
So wait, so Sergeant Vidler walked right up to you and said the first thing he said to you is, "I'm here to arrest you"?
No, he didn't say he didn't say I'm here to arrest you. He said I came here with the full intention to arrest you, but as I'm talking to some people, I can see that maybe the story is not exactly what it was.
Okay.
He talked to the officer. He came back and he said, "I need you to write me a statement."
Okay.
At that point, of course, there was in question about what ASAP was wearing, and
Who's
they
in ASAP?
Randall Brocious.
Okay. And what was he wearing?
He was wearing his 45. He's a K, G, and D instructor, and he showed me the statute and said as long as he's in uniform, he can wear his weapon. I'm not a 90 security company, whatever they code 93 or so. He showed me the Florida statute, said he's allowed to wear his weapon. However, once you, as Sergeant Vidler did, expand on that statute, it basically says you can't wear a weapon unless you're working for that company. That's the security company that has the license for the weapon. I was unaware of that. That's my fault. I figured being a K instructor, he would be giving me the proper information.
Okay.
But,
So let's go back a little bit. Any witnesses other than from your people?
What happened was when I got back to the office after everything calmed down and we got back to the office, I noticed somebody had called my phone. My phone was constantly ringing while I was on scene, but I was talking to the officers or writing my statement. I had a voicemail from somebody. He didn't advise his name. He just said, "I saw an incident today with one of your men and a black truck. I need you to call me immediately." So what I did was recycle, who Sergeant Vidler actually knows, not on a personal level, but on a off-duty detail level, is kind of my, I don't want to say IA guy. We don't have an IA, but he's my, when somebody when somebody messes up, I give it to him, and he reviews state statute and stuff, and then he either fires them or writes them up or whatever, gives them time off. And so I had him call.
What's his name? Is that Steven?
Yes.
So hold on, Steven.
So I had Steven call and speak with the gentleman named Aaron. I don't remember his last name. Aaron advised Steven, and I advised Steven that he saw everything that happened, that the vehicle purposely veered towards me and struck me, and then fled away after we were talking with each other.
Okay.
But he never left that.
Did you talk to this individual on the phone?
I didn't. Steven did.
Steven. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And are you aware that that individual called the sheriff's office
I was not aware of that.
and spoke to the sheriff's office?
I was not aware of that.
All right. So he did. He also gave a statement.
Okay.
So my concern is some of what you said already about where you were originally stopped at and how the vehicle was approached. So he says he was there.
Mm-hmm.
He described it. He said he called to file a complaint against one of your officers because he didn't know it was you. He described you to a T.
Right.
And then he said that while he was sitting in traffic, that you entered in, not you, so one of your guys entered in the intersection on a red light.
Well, the funeral director was already. Go ahead, Squirrel.
The funeral director was not there. He entered in on a red light, and they had a green light, so they were stopped. He described specific cars that your guy pushed through the intersection, and then he said you came up in an SUV and relieved that person. That person then took off. He said they sat there for between 3 and 4 light cycles, before the funeral actually got there.
Okay.
So I'm just telling you what the guy said. I wasn't there, so I don't know. That's why the video would be great,
Yeah.
here, because, so that's what he said. And then he said that he watched you telling the black truck to pull over, kept telling him pull over.
Well, I never say pull over. I did say
Well,
pull out of the funeral.
What he's saying is, that's exactly what he said. I'm paraphrasing.
Pull over is a very bit different word,
Okay,
Corporal.
so he says you are directing that individual to pull to the side. He says you were
Not
doing...
to decide to pull him out of the funeral, and I was doing this.
Okay, so he's saying you were giving clear direction with your hands to pull to the right.
Not to the right.
To the
To the left.
Oh, I'm sorry, to the
Pull
left.
out
I'm
of
sorry,
the
to the
funeral.
left. Yes, to the
Right.
left. So he said you pulled in, that the vehicle pulled in behind yours, and that the two of you, he said he rolled down the window and he could see that both of you were in a heated conversation.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't hear exactly what was being said, but there's a heated conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And that that's when that individual decided to take off, and as you were still walking towards the vehicle, and then as he accelerated to leave, you slapped the hood of his car. Listen,
Okay,
everything
sure,
you've said so far kind of matches up. It's just,
It's just, I didn't speak with him until after he tried to hit me with the truck.
He's
Well,
just,
I'm
he's
just
just
telling
telling you
you
what the witness
what
said.
the witness said.
Okay,
Don't take it personal. I'm helping us understand,
Sure,
because
Court.
then you can respond back. Okay, so he says that's when he accelerated to try to leave the back of your vehicle, and that you were out in the intersection, that you had slapped the front of the truck, and that you all exchanged a couple more words, and then that he took off, and then during that time the funeral procession was still going on, because by that time the funeral procession had already gotten there. That there were still a few more cars to go. He finally got out to take off. As he took off, a Charger with your logo on the side pulled up next to you, and then took off ahead of you as if he was chasing after the truck.
That's
Listen,
Go ahead, Corp.
I'm
Sorry.
just telling you what I
hear
was
you.
told.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me talk, and then
Sure,
you
sure,
can
sure.
tell me what was correct or what's incorrect. So he says he took off chasing after that black truck.
Mm-hmm.
The guy said that he's been chased by the cops before. As a kid, I tried to outrun them, but they always got me. He goes, I know what it looks like when somebody's chasing after somebody. He said, I actually turned the same direction, and it was clear to me that guy was chasing after him. So he said that Charger left before you did. Went after that car. All right? He said that and this is his own words, that the funeral procession, that there was many people that did not have headlights on, did not have hazards on. And I'll actually, as close as I can to quoting what he said. I've been in funerals myself, and they always tell you in the beginning, stay as close as possible. Everybody turn on their headlights or their high beams and their hazards. And on top of that, they always come through and they put like a purple flag with a magnet on it with a little white cross on it that goes on everybody's hoods so they know who's in the funeral procession. He goes, but this funeral procession, he goes, until we saw the hearse and the limo go by, he goes, we didn't know what was going on. People were getting mad, hitting their horn because they're stuck at this intersection. And he says he knew you weren't a cop because he's seen you around before, I guess.
Sure.
Your company, not you specifically. And so he said that there were big spaces between the cars. He goes, so all I can assume is that this truck got into the funeral escort and didn't even realize he was in a funeral until somebody jumped out in front of him and started yelling at him to get out of it.
Oh.
So that's where he left it. So expound on that for me.
Sure, Corp. That's bullshit. With
Okay.
all due respect.
No, Jeremy, I'm not saying that that's the truth. All I'm telling you is this is the witness that you...
What's funny is
told
that's not
to
what the
call.
witness told my guy, who then videotaped the recording of that conversation, and he was advised that he was being recorded.
Can you
And
produce that?
I promise you, Corporal, I will.
Yeah.
Because
Because that'll
didn't-
help
He
tremendously.
didn't say that at all. What he said was, and I saw the recording, that although I was aggressively waving him to move out of the line, he did hear the family honking and trying, and he could see that they were trying to get around the vehicle.
Okay.
And the vehicle then slowed down and then aimed towards me and accelerated aggressively.
Okay, listen.
Even he said that on the recording.
Let's stop for a second.
Sure.
Take a breath. All right? Because I know it can be frustrating, but listen, like us in law enforcement, somebody complains on us. If we come down here and we're all upset and we get all defensive, then it usually causes bigger problems for us, or makes it harder for whoever is investigating the complaint to figure out what's really going on.
Right.
And so if somebody's already saying that you were upset, that you were mad that this individual was in the escort, and you've already made it clear that several of your people came across him and were trying to get him to come out of it, so by this time you were probably a little ticked that he wouldn't get out. So that's what I'm saying is, if nothing was done wrong, then there's not an issue. Don't get all upset. I mean, it is what it is. People complain all the time, and we just like, you know what? This is what happened.
Sure.
Look at it how you want. But
Well, Corp, I can promise you that if I can't get the video today, I will get it to you, because at no time was I upset. I actually was like, well, let me see what I can do and try to get him out. That's exactly what I said before I got out of the vehicle. I had no intention to even involving myself with the truck, because we thought he was going to turn somewhere sooner or later. Like always. We always ask him to pull out occasionally here and there, and then we ask them to get out, and if they don't, then we ask them, you know. No, that's...
was he able to get you the video?
That's only a very small part, bro. That's... Oh, okay, he's sending more. Hold on.
Okay.
Left.
That'd be great. That'd definitely help. Your scars never really healed up, did they?
Nope, they sure didn't. It's okay. It reminds me every day. That's what makes me upset, that we keep having these problems, because I can promise you, although my guys, as Sergeant Vidler likes to say, bump the line, I can assure you that we are a lot less than what we used to be aggressively.
Oh, I can remember.
Yeah.
Remember some of the videos we looked at?
I can promise you that that's not how we are anymore. In fact,
Well, that's good.
now, to be quite honest with you, whether you want to listen to me or not, after we had our first meetings and interactions, and we had the meeting upstairs, and everyone was kind of told to leave us alone for a little bit, unofficially, I realized that I had a business that I needed to actually run, instead of, because up until then, I was for sure that sooner or later everyone was just going to shut me down because of who I am.
It has nothing to do with who you are. Nobody cares about that, right?
Really? Because that's what everyone brings up.
Well, this is the first time I've heard of you, sir. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I have two questions for you.
Yes,
that are
Sergeant.
driving me nuts. So I've heard from multiple people,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm excluding my deputy. Well, I am including him, but I'm excluding him because he's not a part of this. But from multiple people, we have heard that it was bumper-to-bumper traffic in both lanes, and people were confused. They didn't know there was a procession going on. How could he aggressively drive if it's 20 miles an hour and it's bumper-to-bumper traffic?
It was bumper the other direction. That is correct. But my tail car was keeping traffic at bay.
Okay.
So we have no one moving up our line. When we're in the 2 lanes. When we're in the 3 lanes, of course.
Yeah, this was all about
lane.
the 2 lane
Yes.
part.
But at this point, these guys are writing pen and paper right now, because technically we're impeding traffic. However, the judges have overruled that multiple times in Orange County for us, and said that we can do that as long as we're within the bubble of the funeral. So, but they're writing it. So,
I'm taking.
but at the same time,
Jeremy,
the last car,
Yeah.
am I writing it?
Yeah,
Do you
that's always
see
been
anything
doing.
on my paper?
Sergeant,
I'm doodling.
I have to be honest with you. Sergeant, I thought you were going to be a lot more of a pain in the ass, and actually you're a very professional, very good guy. I'm actually very impressed.
And all I'm writing little notes so when I ask a question again, I know if I've already asked it or not.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to read
Hey, what's
anything
up?
you give.
Hey, you still 10-12?
I am 12. Listen to me. I need the video where it shows me, and you tell me he's coming up, and I say, well, let me get out of the vehicle. I need that video, and then I need that scene where he then hits me. That's what I need. And then I also need Randall's body camera from Virginia and Nebraska, Virginia and Mills, where he's in the far right lane and then shifts over aggressively left.
What did I send you?
I don't know what the hell you sent me.
I sent you a
Sounds like
video.
us.
Yeah, you sent me a video. Oh, hold on. This one might be Virginia Mills, but this is not the one. The video that you sent me, the first one, wasn't of me getting out of the truck. That's not my body
Yeah,
cam.
but there's another video of me that you get out your truck. I sent you that one.
Yeah, that's you getting the picture of me getting out of the vehicle. I need my body camera. They don't want 3 different angles. They want my body
No,
camera.
that's your body. Yeah, it's your body camera.
All right, let me look at it again. Give me a sec. Give me a mic. All right, bye. No, that's at Virginia. That's. Oh. I guess that is it. Okay, so. They're making a left at Virginia. That's what.
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't care about language.
Go back from the. I'm looking at the beginning.
So those vehicles are pretty spaced out there.
Okay, now this is
This is the vehicle.
okay. There's no other vehicles coming now, right?
Right. No.
So he was at the tail end.
No. There's like
Yeah, you
10
can
or
see
the
them
reflection.
by.
Yeah, they're going by. He could have got out at any time he wanted.
So he's out of the procession right now.
Well, yeah, because he just came to try to run me down.
Okay, play that again. I'm trying to figure out if he's getting out of the procession. Okay, so
No, I'm telling him to get out. I'm like, come on, bro,
okay,
get out.
so you're waving him towards you.
Well, I'm telling him to get in the
Yeah,
other
you're
lane.
waving right. So he gets over into the other lane, which is right where you're at. That's what I'm saying. So he did exactly what you directed him to do. He did. I'm watching your
sorry,
video.
He slid over, but then he accelerates towards me. That's what I'm
That's
trying
not
to
what I see. I see him pulling up to you, basically trying to figure out what's going on. You blocked that lane, so he can't even go through that lane. You're blocking this lane, the lane that you directed him to by your own video. You directed him to you. He came up.
out
Listen
of the
to Jimmy.
Go
Let
ahead,
me
I'm
explain.
listening to Sarge.
As your video, what I'm going off, just off the video you just showed me. Mm-hmm. He's in the line of the procession. You're
Right.
waving and yelling at people to get out of the procession.
No, just him.
Okay, and you're waving him over to the left.
Right.
And he does exactly what you're telling him to do. He did, per your own video.
Sergeant.
And then he pulls up to you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, he pulls up to you and he's like, "What are you doing? You're not a cop."
Right. Okay, Sergeant.
The
video-
Then explain the video, because if you don't agree with me, please explain the video.
Sergeant, when I wave him over, he
When you're
slows
saying
down.
waving him over,
I'm like, hey,
okay.
bro, get out of the funeral. You hear me? Get out of the funeral,
I
bro.
see it, yeah.
I'm
You
not.
see you waving.
I'm not. Get the fuck out. I'm
Right.
a cop. None of that. None of that.
Okay.
I'm saying, get out of the funeral, bro.
Okay.
So I'm doing this. He's coming. You're right. He
He's in the
slows
fin-
down.
he slows down.
and then he aims towards me, and he
He
guns
moves
it.
into your lane.
Okay, you're right.
Well, this what I saw in the video is this: your vehicle's parked in the far right.
No, in the
far left.
Far left.
If you're looking at the way you travel, yours is in the far right lane, and then there's two
Yes.
through lanes.
You're traveling.
No,
let's
there's
say-
the turn lane, the right turn lane.
Correct.
And then
You're in the through
that
lane.
lane and this lane.
Right. There's two through lanes.
You're in the lane closest to the sidewalk.
You're in the right through lane.
You were in the lane
Yeah, you
closest
can pull
to
the
the
video.
sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Closest to the sidewalk.
Right.
Okay.
So that would be totally right, not left.
And the
Right.
funeral
Right.
procession was passing you on
on
the left.
Correct.
In
Because
the
we were making the left. I'm sorry, you're right.
in
we
the
were making
center
the left
through,
in
in the left through lane.
Correct.
Yes.
And
So,
I'm
so
listening.
he's coming along in the funeral procession. They all have to be in the center lane because there's no way they could be in the right lane closest to the sidewalk because your
Correct.
vehicle's parked there.
Right.
So if he's there in the funeral procession and you're telling them to get out, you're waving at him, you're standing out in the traffic way, just listen, and you're waving him, is it possible he got confused thinking, well, I can't go over here because his
No, Corp,
truck's
it's not possible.
I can't go over here because his truck's parked there without hitting him. So if you're either telling him to get out of the funeral procession and stop until you're done, or you're telling him to what?
Yeah.
To move out of the funeral.
Where was he going to go?
Jeremy, can you text that video to me, please? Sure. So we got
Yeah,
it.
where was he going to go?
To sit behind the vehicle until the funeral
Your
got
vehicle.
by. Just
Yeah,
until
but
we
your
could get
vehicle,
by.
right? Okay, so that's what I'm saying is if he's like, wait a second, I'm trying to go somewhere, I don't even know what's going on. He didn't know it was a funeral escort because you can see the spacing of the vehicles. I'm assuming. I haven't talked to this guy, so I don't know. But based on what I see, he can't tell if it's a funeral escort because the vehicles are not tight. You see that in your own video.
I do, but Corporal,
So if
the
you're
reason why the
directing
vehicles
him
aren't
and-
tight at this point is because of the constant braking and speeding. My guys have already talked to him at 2 different lights. Orlando and Mills
But the
is
vehicles
almost
in front of him were
3-4
spread
miles.
out. Listen, the vehicles in front of him were spread
The
out.
ones that you're showing ahead of time were all spread out.
Yeah, so I understand what you're saying, and let me tell you, when
Did
you're in the
you
heat
send
of
that
the
over to
moment,
me? Yeah,
when you're in the heat of the moment like that, it's very easy to get like tunnel vision when you don't see the clear picture. When you go back and look at the video, you're like, oh man, I didn't realize that.
Right.
And that's exactly what you're seeing here is the vehicles are so spread out, like the witness said. The vehicles are spread out. And I saw 2 of them that went by that didn't have headlights on. So were they in the procession or were they just people that got in by accident?
They were part of the procession. However, Corp, it's impossible. It was at a black church, and I'm not allowed to go up front and talk. I'm not an Orange County deputy.
Okay.
So I don't get to go in front of a church and say high beams hazards. She advised them high beams hazards. We did go around the parking lot and advise high beams hazards, but we can only do so much.
Let me just
I'm
so
listening.
you're aware, it doesn't matter if you're an Orange County deputy or an escort company or a security company or whatever. That does not preclude you from going in front of a congregation. That would be your director or something like that, because they can tell us the same thing.
Well,
So-
the Catholic service, I sent that to you, sir.
Okay, yeah, got
The
it.
Catholic services, they don't allow us to do that at all.
I just got it. Just saying forward. It doesn't show anything.
It doesn't show anything?
No.
Okay.
Okay, it just came through. Got
Okay,
it.
so
So,
what's the Virginia? The next one you said that's the
that's,
second
yeah,
video.
that's what it was. So,
Anyways, let's clarify this again for
Yeah,
the video for
sorry.
Jeremy and everything. Your perception of when you were directing him was you were directing him out of the funeral procession, which was traveling in the left through lane. There's 2 through lanes. There's a right through lane,
Right.
which your vehicle was occupied.
right.
Stopped. You were out of your vehicle. You were actually standing behind your vehicle. And then you were directing the traffic that was coming towards you in the left through lane, and you're waving for him to get out of the traffic. The only area that he can go, per your video, was in your travel lane.
Right, but that doesn't mean accelerate towards me,
Okay,
Sergeant.
whatever you. I'm just saying. I'm
Right.
just clarifying for the record.
I hear you.
And so he got out of the left travel lane, through lane, and came up to you. And that's the conversation that we heard where you exchange of the words.
That was after he tried to hit me with the vehicle. But yes, Sergeant,
Okay,
you're right.
All right, I was just clarifying for the record.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it.
So your belief is the deputy was intentionally trying to hit you with his car and come to a complete stop?
I don't think he was intentionally trying to run me over.
Okay.
I think he was intentionally trying to use his vehicle to, like, maybe push me out of the way.
Okay.
Or, like, I don't want to say impose his might or what, you know what I'm trying to say? More like,
I'm just trying to get in your head. that's
sure. It was more like he was just trying to race up on me, and then because he was a deputy, or, well, at that point we thought police officer. We didn't know he was Orange County.
Same thing.
So, when he raced up and came up towards me, and then I had to push myself off.
Okay.
If I hadn't done that, he would have hit me. So,
Okay.
I mean, he would have ran me over, not hit me, because he did hit me. It's just I pushed myself back and away. So,
How much reaction time do you think he had between the point when you started directing him to the point where
quite
you
a
wanted
bit,
him to
because
be?
he slowed down before he shifted lanes and then accelerated.
Okay. I got you. I'm just asking. Okay.
And So, this is where the car is sitting at the light. The funeral, that's him. He just changes to the right lane. He goes past our car, changes to the right lane, and then I go by. And
Looks like other cars are following him.
no, they're in.
That
the,
was you
they're-
following? Who was that following him?
That was my truck,
So you were following him?
not
Okay, yeah, I see
him.
your
I was
lights.
moving up to the next light.
It looked like you went to you traveled the same pattern that he did. Watch the truck. He goes all the way to the right, closest to the sidewalk, and then that's you.
No,
right there.
I'm in the right lane.
Okay.
Because this car is not in the lane; it's more in the the block.
Let me see. Let me zoom it in here. Let me see this here. My eyesight's. Is this
That is
okay?
Nebraska
Okay.
and Mills.
So in the funeral procession, he goes into the right lane there,
And
and
then-
the funeral procession is in the left lane?
Correct, and they're
Okay.
about to make a left onto Virginia. Hold
Okay.
on, let me.
And at
get-
that time, I can see your marked unit go into the right lane.
No,
Same
I
way.
was already in the right lane, sliding past because.
When you came through the intersection...
Can I draw here?
Well, here, I'll draw this real quick. So from the video here, let me draw that intersection. So this is the intersection, and I'll just draw the lanes. So basically, from that video, you have a guy that's posted right here that's
No,
videotaping.
he's more over here. He was more over here. So the truck, this is the funeral coming down
Right.
this line. This is
Okay.
so the truck leaves the funeral and then cuts here.
Yeah, we
Whereas
see that,
I'm coming
yeah.
down this line, but because my car is kind of here, not where I had to go up into the funeral, but just enough to where I could squeeze by the car and the funeral, then I'm still in the right travel lane.
And per that video, I just saw multiple cars were doing the same thing, right?
No,
Following
they
behind
were in
you.
the far left lane.
Well, I saw a bunch of cars behind them do the same thing. Were they aggressively driving?
No,
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just
can you
curious.
send me that one too?
I will.
Thanks, appreciate that.
And if possible, really need.
Hey,
Sorry.
that's fine. I'm gonna see if he. I hope he download. Again, has this on his phone from prior ASAP's helmet. Cam. Or-
Now, when this all happened, did he ever show you his badge or anything?
No,
So he just said he was a deputy.
Right.
He just said he was an officer.
he said he
you
was
said-
a police officer,
Okay.
and he was gonna arrest me.
For what?
Did he say he was going to arrest you, or did he say, do you want to go to jail?
He said, "Do you want to go to jail?" He's like, "I will arrest you."
Okay.
So
And why would he say that to you?
because he said I couldn't do what I was doing.
Okay. All right, let's keep going. So, all right, so then you went after him, obviously, following his path.
Alas,
No, listen,
sir,
following his path, not going after him. You're
Correct.
following his path.
Right. We just, with all due respect, Corporal, we need to be careful what words we use because I'm very serious with my guys about that. We don't say things like pull over because we are not law enforcement. And at no time do we say those words. In fact, that is something we teach when we do our every 3-month quarter class. We don't say pull over, and we don't say, what's the other one? I don't remember. But pull over is one of them we definitely don't say. We
Okay,
do
would
say,
you agree you were directing him out of the funeral procession?
Did I ask him to get out of the funeral?
No. Would you agree that you directed him out of the funeral procession?
I told him to get out of my funeral. That is correct.
Were you using hand motions?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
In a way of directing. Okay.
I wasn't directing traffic. I was asking a
No,
vehicle.
I didn't
no,
say
I'm
you
not
were.
asking
I'm
that.
just saying because in our job, when we do that and we start doing this and move, people
Hand
believe
signals.
we're hand signals. That's what they are. It's
It's a form of direction.
body language.
Yeah.
Right, but at the same time, there's a difference between directing traffic and telling a vehicle to get out of my funeral.
very true.
Who's been already advised 2 other times that's purposely slamming on their brakes and now creating a hazard to the family that's around them.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about that.
Sure,
We've had these discussions before, right?
of course.
And what you can and cannot do in a
Right.
in an escort, correct?
Yes, Corporal.
Okay. So we do have history with that. Nothing negative per se. Just we've written you some tickets for it, and
Which
we've
have been overruled.
You've gone to court. You've lost some. You've won.
We only
Listen,
lost one.
I will
Or-
tell you. I'll tell you. You've lost more than that. But
Oh.
you've lost some. You've won more. And a lot of that's because, like, if we issued a ticket for a light, we gave you multiple tickets for lights, and so they would dismiss those, maybe give you one, or the judge would say, you know what, this is a first-time thing, so I'm going to let it go this time.
Sure.
Would you agree that's kind of what's happened?
No,
Okay.
but okay.
But we've had the discussion on the Florida State statute
Mhm.
on what you are entitled to do as an escort.
Okay.
Correct? There's no confusion about that. We've had that discussion, right?
Yes and no. But okay, I'm listening. Go ahead,
Okay.
Corporal.
We have, and as a matter of fact, you probably still have the body cam. I mean, I have a copy because you provided it. This
You
is-
mean where we were on the side of the road for 2 hours?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, remember that?
Of course.
And you provided me with the statute on escorts
Mhm.
and how it runs. And
Correct.
we had a long debate about that, right?
Yes.
And so I basically told you, this is what you can and cannot do, right?
Correct.
That's on video. Your video that you provided. And
Of course, Corporal.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So, during that time, I was very clear on telling you what you can and can't do as far as leading, leapfrogging, holding intersections,
Mhm.
taking intersections, and directing traffic from there. Correct? We had that discussion, correct?
Yes, Corporal, we have,
Okay.
but go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all I need, is a yes or no. We had that discussion.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that today when we leave, you understand that this conversation has happened before and it is happening again.
Right.
You know you cannot enter an intersection and direct traffic.
Of course.
Okay. That also means you cannot direct people out of a
I totally
funeral
agree
escort.
with you.
But
Oh,
you
out
did.
of a funeral, out of my
Correct.
escort?
You cannot direct people out of a funeral escort.
Okay.
So the only thing you can do is lead.
Right.
The exception that has been given to you was if you wanted a tail, nobody would care about that.
Correct.
But you can't leapfrog either.
I've
You
had
can't enter an
multiple
intersection.
judges in Orange County that say we can tell the people to get out of our funeral that don't belong. And they've also said, multiple judges that said that we can move up along the line and pass each other. That leapfrogging is a law enforcement term that you guys continue to use, and we are allowed to go ahead and move up the line as long as we're using due caution and care.
Do you have a copy of the statute?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Let him read this. I'm going to read the state statute to you.
Sure.
Because like I told you when we talked the other day, you and I were going to go over this just so we're all on the same.
Before we go on, Sergeant, are we done talking about the deputy that hit me with his vehicle and then used
No,
as
so I wanna
law
go back to
enforcement? No.
Right.
We'll talk about Florida statute.
Okay,
and
then let me
funeral
ask
escorts.
let me ask a
Sure.
couple more questions.
Yes, Sergeant.
One, if it is determined that the deputy might have done something wrong, what would you like to have happen? What is your ultimate outcome?
There is no ultimate outcome.
Okay.
We called 911 because we didn't know if he was really a cop.
So-
And when they ran his tag,
Mm-hmm.
obviously he didn't have the tag blanketed, or else they wouldn't have sent so many cops. Because if she would have said the tag's blanketed or something, we would have known he was really a deputy and he was just being a douche, and we would have just moved on with our day.
So let me ask you a question. Call 911, and you stayed with him until
We didn't stay with
Well, then
him.
how did you know? How did OPD know where he was?
Because he was in the funeral the whole way, Sergeant.
Okay, I'm just asking. All right.
He stayed with us all the way. In fact, again, he stayed all the way with us,
Mhm.
all the way to General Reese. And then from the right lane, cut up and around, cutting traffic off to cut back into the funeral.
You're saying, and I just want to make sure you're saying in both there was no traffic in the left lane or in the right lane when you guys switched and swapped lanes.
Correct.
There was absolutely none.
None. Not for us. Coming the other direction, of course.
The reason he says is because they had a tail vehicle
We had a
that
tail
shut down the
vehicle that
lane.
was not allowing
so
traffic.
to allow them to
That's what I'm getting.
pull
at,
ahead
yeah.
without interference to the next.
So the lane was
threat.
obstructed.
No. It
So
was
you mean
open
to- so
for
you're telling me
anyone
that-
to shift out of the funeral. In fact, multiple family members, for some reason, I don't know why, they're going to a funeral. You would think they would know to get gas.
Yeah.
But multiple times, family members use that lane that we have the car in the back, kind of keeping traffic away, to go ahead and get over so they can go to a gas station or whatever the case may be, or they decide they don't want to go all the way to the funeral.
So if the left lane's open, why would I'm just asking in your professional opinion? The deputy is going 20 miles an hour down the road in this funeral procession, and you say aggressively speeds out and goes into the left lane, but he intentionally keeps cutting into the funeral procession
Right.
with a wide open lane.
Correct.
Is there anybody else doing that? So there's no other vehicles on the other lane of travel?
No.
Nothing. So it's just your vehicles in the roadway on the left lane.
It wasn't even our vehicles that he's coming up to. Only a couple times at Virginia or Winter Park Boulevard or Winter Park Road does he do where there's actually somebody there. The other times he's just doing it on purpose. He's going out, shooting up, cutting back in aggressively and hitting his brakes.
Okay. All right.
Almost like he was. Do you want my opinion?
I want your opinion. You were there. I wasn't there.
My opinion, he
Yeah.
was aggressively doing that over and over so he would get a reaction out of us.
Okay.
So he would make us act like police officers to maybe try to pull him over or do some shit like that
Okay.
because his wife was videotaping. So my opinion is,
His wife was videotaping?
yes, my opinion is he kept doing that
Okay.
to see if it would get a reaction out of us to be where we would then be talking about us
I got you. Okay.
impersonating.
Like I said, I wasn't there. I hear one story, I hear another, I hear a couple
I-
other people's stories, so I'm just trying to get it all
Understand,
together.
Sergeant. But that's my professional opinion,
Okay.
or my personal opinion.
It's fine
or-
by me.
You know, we've been doing it for almost 10 years now,
Mhm.
contrary to what the gentleman say we've had 0 accidents. My people have never had my men have had accidents because we've been hit by people.
Okay.
But my processions have never been hit.
And I have one more question.
Yes,
This is
sir.
all I want to know because I think I'm pretty much done here for my aspect of it. How does 95 cars go through a green light without it turning red?
It doesn't. Per Florida statute, once the funeral director enters the intersection or traffic control device on a green or proper stopping at the stop sign and then moving through, or law enforcement directing them, they can continue until the last car is safely through.
There you go. Thank you. All right, I
No
got
matter
no more
how many
questions. I'm
times the
good.
lights on.
I'm good. Thank you very much.
Did you need to stay or you need to go?
I'll stay for a minute just in case I hear something else.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the state statute, and this is 2019
Roger,
state
sorry.
statute. Basically, the under Section 1 of 316, 1974, it gives the definitions. One, it gives a definition of a funeral director, funeral establishment. Under that's A. B. Under subsection 1 gives what a funeral procession means. It means 2 or more vehicles accompanying the body of a deceased person, or traveling to a church, chapel, or other location in which the funeral service is being held in the daylight hours, including a funeral lead vehicle or a funeral escort vehicle. Okay, the term, they're not plural. It's just a vehicle, one vehicle. Okay, it doesn't say
Right.
vehicles, lead
Right.
vehicles,
So if
lead escort vehicles.
Basically, what
Okay,
that
I'm going to keep
go,
reading
sure,
because
go ahead,
it's
Sergeant.
actually
Sorry.
going to
Go ahead,
answer your
Sergeant.
question.
Sure.
So then what it says is the next one, C, under subsection 1, states a funeral lead vehicle means any authorized law enforcement or non-enforcement motor vehicle properly equipped pursuant subsection 2. You go down to subsection 2, and we'll get that as I continue down.
Sure.
But a funeral escort vehicle being used to lead or facilitate the movement of a funeral procession, a funeral hearse may serve as the funeral lead vehicle. Okay, then it goes to the next one. D under subsection 1 states a funeral escort means a person or entity that provides escort services for funeral processions, including law enforcement personnel and agencies. E states funeral escort vehicle means any motor vehicle that is properly equipped pursuant to subsection 2, which escorts a funeral procession. Okay. Now, subsection 2 is where we're at, is equipment. It says all non-law enforcement funeral escort vehicles, funeral lead vehicles shall be equipped with at least one circulation lamp exhibiting an amber or purple light or lens visible under normal conditions for a distance of 500 feet from the front of the vehicle. Flashing amber or purple lights may be used only when such vehicles are used in a funeral procession. Okay. Or, amber or. It doesn't say amber and purple. It
I hear
says
you, Sergeant.
amber or. Okay. Any law enforcement funeral escort vehicle may be equipped with red, blue, or amber flashing lights. Okay. So then we go into the funeral right-of-way. It says subsection 3, funeral procession right-of-way, funeral escort vehicles, funeral lead vehicles. A under subsection 3 states, regardless of any traffic control device or right-of-way provisions prescribed by the state or local ordinance, pedestrians or operators of all vehicles, except as stated in paragraph 3 or C, shall yield the right-of-way to any vehicle which is part of a funeral procession being led by a funeral escort vehicle or a funeral lead vehicle. It doesn't say vehicles, it says vehicle. When the funeral lead vehicle lawfully enters an intersection, either by reason of traffic control device or at the direction of law enforcement personnel, the remaining vehicles in the funeral procession, this answers your question, the remaining vehicles in the funeral procession may follow through the intersection regardless of any traffic control devices or right-of-way provisions prescribed by state or local laws.
Perfect.
So paragraph C states that a funeral procession shall have the right-of-way at intersections regardless of traffic control devices subject to the following conditions or exceptions. 1. Operators of vehicles in a funeral procession shall yield the right-of-way to an approaching emergency vehicle, giving an audible and visible signal. Operators of vehicles in a funeral procession shall yield the right-of-way when directed to do by a police officer. Number 3, operators of vehicles in a funeral procession must exercise due care when participating in a funeral procession. Okay. Go to paragraph or subsection 4, which talks about driving in the procession. All vehicles comprised of a funeral procession, all vehicles, which is, as we said, up in the front, which includes your lead vehicle. All processions, vehicles comprised of a funeral procession shall follow the preceding vehicle in the funeral procession as closely as practical and safe. In the Florida legislature is even exempt following too closely, as it says, any ordinance, law, regulation stating that the motor vehicle shall be operated to allow sufficient safe, enabling any other vehicle to enter or occupy the such space without danger shall not be applicable to the vehicles within the funeral procession. In other words, if law enforcement sees a funeral procession and they're bumper to bumper, we can't write them a ticket for following too closely.
Right.
Okay. Each vehicle, which is part of a funeral procession, shall have its headlights, either high or low beams, and taillights lighted, and may also use flashing hazards if the vehicle is so equipped. Okay. Now, the second part of the subsection 5 goes into all the liability parts of the funeral escort. So basically what it's saying is that the funeral director gives you the authority to do an escort under this state statute.
Correct.
And that's it. That's the only authority you have is when you're working under the direction of a funeral home director.
Totally agree with
Correct. And it states in there that when there's negligence on part of an agent, which you would be, or the funeral home, that then the funeral home is liable.
Right.
Okay. I don't think we need to read the liability stuff, but that's the gist of it, basically. Outside of anything else, if an accident occurs during a funeral procession, they can't go after the funeral home.
Correct.
Okay. So we read the statute, and I know we've discussed this before about your lights. And moving forward, like I said, it's very clear that you can only have an amber or purple light. That's it. That's all. That's state statute.
Okay, sir.
Okay. The other thing is, it even describes the funeral procession, the lead vehicle, and all that, and it says you must stay as tight as possible.
Roger.
In other words, all your motorcycles that are going outside that procession, with their lights on in other lanes, are acting outside the scope of that procession, outside the scope of Florida 316, 1974. Okay, because we just read it, and we all understand it clearly now, correct? So, per the statute.
Is there a part that you don't understand about?
Or is there a part that you don't
no.
agree with?
Sergeant, I'm only going off of what the attorneys and the judges have said.
That's
I
passed.
hear what you're saying.
That's
okay.
passed. We're you know,
Then, when I'll be happy, Sergeant, when I get a letter from
Okay.
the sheriff's office saying that they need to go back and change the letter they sent me for putting the amber in with the purple, because this nice corporal wrote me, what was it, 60 tickets or 30 tickets in one traffic stop for having white.
right.
So,
Yeah, you
at
can't
that
have white.
point,
Yeah, you can't have white. That's for construction.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
At
for
that
bus
point,
vehicles.
all right.
Yeah.
At that point, that when we were sitting in the briefing room, your legal said, put orange in with major crayons. I understand they're no longer here. I totally
Well,
get
here's the
that.
thing. I can't.
So that letter came through
Okay,
saying, let's put this
let me
amber.
say this.
Yes,
Let me
yes,
say
sir.
this. I don't know what the statute said back in 2015, 2000, whatever. I don't know what we just went over what 2019 Florida State statute
I hear you.
says.
I hear you.
And again, that's
And
what
I'm a business, and since we were ordered to do that prior this statute changing, we've been grandfathered, as my lawyer advised, we're grandfathered in because we already had those lights done per Florida statute,
I didn't
and
know
we
that.
had those done per the letter that you guys sent
Right.
us and chose to make us do.
I've
So-
got a copy of that letter, and in the
Okay.
letter it says that you will conform to state statute.
No. That's the other letter that was mailed to my house. Yes. That
Oh,
was-
okay. That's the letter I got.
Right.
It's saying
That's the letter
you
that was
will
mailed to my
conform.
house
the
way
only letter.
before.
Oh, okay.
That was way before we even sat down with
Okay.
Steve Foster.
So anyway, that's where I'm at right now.
Well, hold on. Let me finish this. So let's continue. All right. So
corporal.
let me tell you what the statute
Go-
changed. Do you know what the statute
Go ahead.
changed from previous to 2019? Do you know what changed in there?
What's that, sir?
I'm asking you. You said it changed to your grandfather. What part were you grandfathered
He's
in
saying
for?
that it's and or I mean it's or. So before
it was like that before.
Oh, okay. Well,
So do you know what changed? I'm being
apparently
sincere.
nothing.
Yeah, something did change.
What's
in
that?
2019, that it went from the circular light.
To the flashing. Yes, I heard that.
And that was probably because of all the cases we had together in front of a judge that was brought up.
Right.
Remember?
Sure.
So, and the judge said, well, it's kind of antiquated, so,
Right.
you know.
I understand that.
So you remember that, right?
I do remember
That's
that.
the only thing that changed in that statute. All the
Roger.
verbiage for the rest of it is the exact same. Nothing else changed except for the circular versus flashing.
Right.
So that's it.
Okay.
Okay, so when you say grandfathered,
I was
You
talking
really-
about the color because
that had nothing to do with the color. It was always been amber. It's always been purple.
right, it is amber and purple on our motors.
Okay.
But you can't have both.
What?
It's or.
I'm just going off of what we were told here before,
Yeah.
Sergeant. So,
I understand, but you say you're running a company and you're doing escorts.
so what's the problem, Sergeant, with me having two colors instead of one? Explain that.
Yeah, because state statute said you can't. It's clear.
sure.
That's
But then
problem.
here's the problem with that, Sergeant.
Okay.
Just like FHP, they
Right.
changed to red and blue. Of course, they're going back to the blue because the new.
But they're law
commander-
enforcement.
Right, you're missing my point.
Okay.
Oscillation of color is what gets people's attention.
Okay.
So if you're not oscillating colors, then it's just a big bright blur, and nobody really understands what's going on. We already deal with nobody understanding what's going on a regular basis. We're not you guys, so we can't go pull somebody over and say, "Hey, you're fucking up."
Right. Right.
So we have to do everything we can to make sure our equipment's that much brighter, with that
Okay,
much
but
more
did you-
observant.
Did you not hear what he said in the beginning of the statute?
What's that?
That you have to stay together
Roger.
in a lead vehicle?
Sure.
So, why do you need all those flashing lights if you're following the law?
You're right, Corporal.
Because you're not skipping ahead to the next light.
You're right, Corporal.
So, that's the problem.
I hear you, Corporal.
This is the deal. And we've told you this before. You and I've had this conversation
Sure.
before. The uniforms you wear
Hmm.
give off the impression, correct?
I don't believe that, so.
Okay. Why do you wear a gun belt?
Just like any other escort company that wears the gun belts.
Why do you have to have a gun?
Hang on one second. What escort companies wear gun belts?
There's quite a bit all over Florida.
Give me a name, because I would love to know.
One's called Southeast in Jacksonville.
Southeast. Do you know if they're a security company or
They
just
are
an
not.
escort?
They're just an escort company.
Okay, but I'm
There's-
talking about Orange County. In Orange County, in my jurisdiction, give me a company that's wearing gun
Let's
belts.
just do this. Osceola, Orange, or Seminole.
Ninth Judicial Circuit.
We, without sounding arrogant, pretty much have taken all that
Okay,
business.
so there's nobody in the Ninth Judicial Circuit that's wearing gun belts besides you guys.
On escorts,
That's an escort company.
there
that's
is
not an
there's a
authorized
group of people that do, but I don't know the name of their companies. I know they even have traffic on the side of their motorcycles, which we've veered away from.
Okay.
We put vehicle protection so that the way there's no confusion that we're not law enforcement.
Okay, so there isn't any
There's
name you
an
can give
actual unit that has traffic on the side of their motocycles. They ride Honda ST1300s, and they wear duty belts, and they wear all santan, not trooper tan, but like a Blauer, what they call silver, but Blauer calls it silver, but it's really a tan. They wear those uniforms. They only have 2 or 3 bikes, but they're
Okay,
Honda
so
ST1300s.
Finish explain to me, because if you're not a security company, and you're not, correct?
Correct.
Have you ever been licensed to be a security company?
Once upon a time.
So you did have a security company, a licensed security company.
When you say me,
You.
no, I didn't.
Okay. So, well, let me back up. Have you ever been in law enforcement?
How would you ask if I was in law enforcement?
Have you ever been a law enforcement
I've
officer?
never been a police officer.
Okay.
Have you ever been in the military?
I have.
You were in what branch?
Army.
The Army. When were you in the Army?
I wasn't actually in the Army. I was actually certified and trained, and then I
No,
did private
I-
details.
No, what I'm asking you, have you ever been in
Never
the United
swore
States
into the United
military?
States Army.
You were
However,
never
the
sworn
United
into
States
the
Army
military.
trained me, and then the details that I
Okay,
do.
but that doesn't make you in the
You're
military.
right. Okay.
Okay, so
So wait, so you're a contractor for the government? That would be the only way.
I was a contractor.
All right, because I'm retired from the military, so
Okay.
that's why I did intel, so I kind of know about a lot of the
Great, Corp.
top secret clearance stuff.
Never
So-
had top secret clearance because I was a nobody and I was a felon.
Okay,
So, but I do know that I did my times, and I did my times overseas,
Where at?
just where I met my wife in Egypt and things like that nature.
So you worked for the federal government?
Never worked
overseas?
for the federal government. I worked for a
the
private
Army.
company.
So
Never in the Army.
like who did you work for then?
I worked for private companies that contracted us to do things overseas.
yeah, give me a name of the company.
I worked for
Blackwater?
No, never worked for Blackwater.
There's Blackwater, there's Black Op. Did you work for Black Op?
No, I never worked for Black Op. Never worked for Triple Canopy. Never. It was not Dyna Group either. Dynacorp. I don't even remember. I went overseas for Egypt, worked over there, and worked with them, and
With Egypt.
that is correct.
Who was the contractor in Egypt?
It was U.S. protection. No, it wasn't. I don't remember.
Okay.
What
It was
did
in
you do?
2004. So
What'd you do?
I just was overseas.
So somebody trained you to do something to
I was
go
a nobody
overseas.
corporal.
If you were a nobody, then what did you do? You didn't have a clearance, so it's not like you
You're
can't
right.
tell me about it.
It's okay, Corp.
Jeremy, I want you to look at
What
this
is
thing.
the
Hang on one
purpose-
second.
Sure, sorry.
I want to.
What is the purpose of wearing the gun belt?
So
I was going to get in that right here.
Sure.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
I want you to look at this video. This was the day that I was out with you.
Right.
And I want you to tell me,
Uh-huh.
okay, let's look at this here real
Sure.
quick. Okay, again, this is from the angle that people would see, okay?
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to play it right here. Hang on 1 second. Right. Okay, we'll start playing it here. Okay, this is your vehicle you're driving.
Correct.
Now watch these lights. You tell me when you see red and blue. I can see it already. Let me back up.
We don't have red and blue.
I understand that, but what's based on the angle that a vehicle is passing you or anybody's passing you, with the combination of the purple and the amber lights that you have installed on your vehicle, it portrays an image of blue and red. Okay, and I'm going to play the whole video for you, and you'll be able to see it throughout the video. Red, red, blue, red, red, blue. See that red, blue?
That's funny you say that, Sergeant, because I remember when Corporal Ramsey and me were standing in court, and
Yeah.
the judge said, "Will you please just put amber into the lights for me?" I said, "Your Honor,
I'm just showing
I
you
don't
because
know
this
if
is
you
what-
know, but when purple and amber are together, it kind of doesn't look good." And I
It
said-
doesn't look good. That's what I'm trying to tell
And
you.
you know what's funny is you can pull those court records, and you can
Okay,
get where I
well-
said to the judge, "Your Honor, I don't think that's a good idea." And the judge said, "Will you please just do that for me?" And I
Okay.
was like, "Sure, Your Honor."
Okay, well, I'm talking about right now.
Oh,
What
okay.
I'm talking about is 2019.
I-
Okay, 2019. When we
Sergeant,
look at this video,
okay, at
you
this
can
point,
clearly see, yes
you're
or no,
right.
that it's blue and red.
No, Sergeant. They're purple
I
and
understand, but
orange.
when they're flashing, you can see the red and blue because I can see it.
Here, look
Sergeant,
at this for me.
purple and orange.
What are the on your saddlebags? What do those colors look like?
Purple and orange.
That looks like. What do you think that looks like on the saddlebags right there?
That's red and blue right there. That's
and blue.
red and blue.
No,
To me, that's just to me.
No, Jerry,
That's a
Jeremy,
picture
I'm
of you.
not going after. What I'm trying to tell you is, with the combination, this is why the state law is amber or purple.
I understand, Sergeant.
Okay, because when they're flashing together,
Sure. Well,
to the lame
Sergeant,
person, it
I-
appears blue and red.
can I say this then?
Yeah.
I can tell you that as a business owner, after the sheriff's office asked me to put orange in, along with the judge from Orange County,
Told you about
asked-
amber, not orange.
Orange, amber.
The
It's the
suggestion,
same thing.
The suggestion was to pick one or the other.
No, that's not what the judge suggested. And if you pull back those transcripts, Corporal, you'll hear that.
Okay.
And I'm sure if you want, you can contact my lawyer, Amir, and he'll tell you the same thing, and we can pull it for you.
Yeah, it's the same lawyer that you
Of
had
course.
then. Mhm.
Yeah. So the judge said, please just put in some amber with your purple. And we did what the judge asked. And here's the thing, Corporal, Sergeant, I'm a business owner, and I invested thousands of dollars to do that. I'm not going to change that after a judge and your legal division at the sheriff's office advised me to do it. So
Okay.
until I have a new order from the sheriff's office, with all due respect, I really, not trying to blow smoke up anyone's ass, whether you laugh at it or not later, I really meant what I was saying about you, Sergeant. I was very impressed the other day how you handled yourself and how professional you are, and I really appreciate that.
No
So with
problem.
all due respect, and Corporal, you're just as good. I don't think I'm not giving you anything here. But at the end of the day, until, with all due respect, somebody above tells me or sends me a letter
Yeah,
saying,
I
hey,
agree.
the judge's order that gave you the order
Yeah.
saying put orange with
Do you
your
have that
purple.
order?
I'm sorry.
Do you have that order?
Which order?
The judge's
Judges?
order. Yeah.
It's verbal order in court.
Well, yeah, but to be legal, it has to be written. It actually has to be an order.
I just did what the judge asked
Okay.
me,
Okay.
Sergeant. So we can pull the transcripts if you like. You guys have access to that.
So my next question is,
Yes.
go back. I'm trying to figure out, and we've talked about this before, and
Sure.
I've never gotten a clear answer.
Here, I'll show you the picture.
I'm trying to figure out why you wear a gun belt with handcuffs and asp.
We don't have to wear the handcuffs if you don't want, Corporal.
No, I'm
Why
asking
I can
do
tell
you?
my guys
why.
to take those out.
I'm asking why you wear a radio that doesn't work. Why do you wear an asp that only has the handle, not the rest of it?
Right.
Why do you wear with the pepper spray, the can of pepper spray?
Here.
Why do you wear a gun and a holster?
Right. Yeah. No, you don't have to show me. I know what.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'm trying to figure out why you wear all that.
for the professional appearance.
Okay, but what professional appearance? If all you're doing is escorting, what is that? What's the difference of just being on a motorcycle with all those lights? Why do you implement the gun belt to go along with that? That's not even emphasizing a
And vest, and the bulletproof vest.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anytime I'm in, whether, no matter what, and you guys should agree with that. If I'm in any type of uniform for my protection, I should have a vest on at any time.
Well, you would wear a vest because...
I'm sorry, this is probably one of you guys.
Probably not.
Metro State. Hello? Maybe it doesn't. It says private number, and the only time I get a private number is some detective, usually.
It's on us. Well, it could be.
But we're working him trying to break into the tow truck that nobody arrested him for, beating the woman
did
that
that?
nobody arrested him for, the
tried
guy
to-
that we were renting the property from.
Trying to break into the tow truck?
Yeah, he tried to break in our. He didn't try. He did. He actually used the key until he broke the lock and got in to try to start the truck. And my two employees had to tell him. I'm sorry, my two contractors had to tell him to get out of the vehicle before they called the police.
As he was explaining, when you look like a cop, you have to wear a bulletproof vest because somebody might shoot at you.
No, I would wear a bulletproof vest no matter if I look like a security guard or a cop or a crossing guard with a badge on.
Okay. Because the next question I have, and I'm not asking you anything that I didn't discuss with you there.
Sure.
But then why, if you want to look professionalism for just an escort company, you're not security, you have
Right.
nothing, you're the only authority that you have to do these escorts
Right.
is under the funeral home director.
Correct.
Then why doesn't the guy that works for the contractors, like for example I-4, the flag guys, why don't they wear uniforms with gun belts and vests?
I can't answer that, Sergeant.
Oh, I can,
Okay.
because they're not pretending to be cops.
We're not pretending to be
Okay.
cops either, Sergeant.
Okay. I want you to look at this video.
Okay.
It's coming up here. Hang on one second. And this is of the middle kid. Not the one wearing the the yellow shirt. It was the other one. Not the one I arrested that day.
Photo.
Okay, yeah, photo. Is that what you call him?
Yeah.
He's got a bulletproof vest on.
Uh-huh.
He told me, and we can listen to him, that,
Sure.
that you make him wear this. That you
Oh, I make him wear
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that's what he
Photo
said.
said that? Can I record that?
Yeah, no, here, I'll play it here.
I would
anyways.
like a copy of that.
Okay.
Here, just
But anyway, Jeremy, on
That's
his
recording,
shirt, it's got your Metro State.
Oh, that's true. I don't have to videotape. Go ahead, listen.
Metro State. Yeah, you can do a public records request and get this video. It's got your Metro State emblem, protection, and on his sleeve it says protection officer.
Right.
Officer.
Motor officer, protection officer. Yeah.
Officer. What is the
Yeah.
term officer?
Florida statute says we can't have police, constable, corrections officer, state
Officers.
agent. I'm just going off of what the
Okay.
Florida statute
Okay.
says.
So so you can't be anything. You can't have anything to do with public safety, basically.
Right.
And anything public safety. You can't have anything. Basically resembling a law enforcement officer.
Right. That's
So-
why we have protection.
Protection,
Or vehicle
okay.
protection unit.
Would you say?
you don't do public safety stuff.
No.
Okay. So what?
When you say public safety stuff, what do you mean?
Well, public safety. The
That's-
general public refers to public safety as law enforcement.
No, we don't do law enforcement.
Okay. No, you said public safety. Public safety is law enforcement.
Right.
That's our job.
Right.
Right. Your job is escort business.
Right. I agree.
Perfect. So when the guys are wearing these uniforms and they have public safety officer on their bulletproof vest, what's that going to lead the general public to believe? He's a cop.
No, it doesn't.
Or
say
he's a
police
security
officer.
It says public safety. Public safety is law enforcement.
I'll have that changed immediately.
Okay.
I'll have that changed in that and I can promise you that, Sergeant, if that's an issue for you.
That's a huge issue.
Well, that's not. It's not an issue for us. It's an issue for this Florida state statute that says that's a person being a law enforcement officer. You don't have to take actual action.
Officer, I'm listening.
Read your statute again.
Yeah.
It does not say you have to take any kind of physical action. The mere presence, the mere appearance itself
While
can
performing.
constitute, while performing a function, can constitute impersonating a law enforcement officer. So, for example, you're running down the road, somebody pulls up behind you, and they see you have a blue light sitting in the back and a red light. They're not on, but you have a blue light and a red light. What would somebody assume that to be? Law enforcement officer.
Or it could be a contractor that builds out patrol vehicles.
Can't have that. It's illegal.
No, that's incorrect.
Okay. So,
Anyone that builds police vehicles or
Correct,
emergency
correct,
vehicles
correct.
can
are you
have those
are you a
lights.
builder?
No, but we don't have red or blue lights.
Okay. So, if you see those, that in itself is enough to pull somebody over.
Okay. But we
And
don't
that
have,
in itself,
Corporal, but
now
we don't
if you
have red or
turn
blue.
on those lights, now you've taken an action. Let's say I'm zipping in and out of traffic, I just flash them one time and turn them off. That's all it takes
Okay,
for impersonating, right? Would you agree?
I agree. And
So
my
if
guys
you have
do
a
that, take
sign,
them.
if you have a sign that says officer,
Uh-huh.
motor officer,
Sure.
anything like that, that right there is the same thing.
Okay.
This guy's on a motorcycle, says public safety officer.
No, he's not on a motorcycle, but I'm listening.
This guy's on a motorcycle, says public safety officer,
Mhm.
driving down the road.
Mhm.
This guy's in a car,
Correct.
driving down the road. He gets out at an intersection to stop traffic and turns around to get back in the car. People see public safety officer.
Okay.
They see the lights that could be confusing. They could think that they're red and blue,
Right.
whatever you want to call it, and so they assume that that person's a police officer. They have now taken an action that the normal, prudent person would not do.
I can assure you, I promise you that I will make sure that that panel's taken off.
Okay.
And that it says Metro State from this day forward.
The other thing that we discussed, Jeremy, again, is the fact that, again, Florida, you operate under the Florida state statute that allows for funerals. Okay.
Correct.
And the entire time you operate under the funeral director's authority.
Correct.
Okay. I did go to Walden, like you said, because I needed.
What did Christie say?
I needed a copy of your liability insurance certificate and your workers' comp certificate.
We don't have workman's comp because we don't have
which she
employees.
doesn't have.
Correct.
Okay, which she didn't have. So, anyways, that was that.
But she has our general liability. All funeral homes have the general liability.
She said she doesn't have anything.
That's her bad filing.
Okay. Well, yeah, it would be because when I asked her, I said, "Well, do you have any invoices? Do you have anything?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, really? You don't have anything?"
Right.
And so I showed her state statute under the liability, and I showed her. I said, "Do you understand that if you don't have any of this documentation, his certificate of liability, his worker comp certificate, or exemption, one or the other, you got to have one or the other in the state of Florida if you're running a business. Okay, you got to have one or the other. Either you're exempt from workers comp or you have workers
So
comp."
it's you're that calling workman's comp, not Tony.
Oh, no, I had to get workers comp involved because nobody has it.
Because I thought it was Tony.
Oh, no. I was going to tell you that. If you,
Sure.
I was going to let you go. I'm straight up with you. I tell you that. So she doesn't have any of that. And I said, well, I'll see about what I can get for you. But you do understand that if you don't have any of this, and I showed her the liability part, you do understand that your funeral home eats it. Morgan & Morgan's going to have a heyday with your funeral home.
Right.
So, anyways, so when I left there, I called workers comp to get your workers comp certificate.
Right.
Okay. And they have no record of anything.
Because we don't have employees.
I understand that, but per state law, you have a business in the state of Florida.
Okay.
You must have either a workers' comp exemption, which you have to file, saying that you're exempt from workers' comp,
Okay.
okay, or you must have workers' comp, one or the other.
Okay.
Okay, you don't have it. There's nothing on file. Okay, so anyway, so that's and that's when I call workers' comp, and they have no record of anything on file.
I'll be happy to talk to the nice lady that's talking to me and
Okay.
see if she can get me an exemption. Because
Yeah,
we don't
I'm just trying to-
qualify for workman's comp because I don't have regular payrolled employees and everyone refuses to give me workman's comp insurance. Not that we haven't tried.
So you've never had workers' comp?
No, because we don't have any payroll or salary or employees that are regular pay.
In the 10 years you've been doing business, you've
Nope.
never had it? Okay.
There. So anyways, so what I'm going is here. Again, the purple or amber lights only fall under the statute with funeral escorts. That's
Right.
it.
Okay.
That's all you can do. Amber
I
or
agree.
purple, that's it. Construction companies can use white and amber.
Right.
Only when, and if you pull my
In
history, you'll
construction
see I ride dump trucks all day long
Uh-huh.
for going down the highway with
With their
flashing
lights
lights.
on, right.
I ride them all day long. There. You did this motorcycle charity ride, and I'm going to let you watch a video a couple Saturdays ago.
Uh-huh.
You're using the amber and purple lights,
Uh-huh.
the horns, the siren. Guys hanging out the truck.
Yeah. Don't get me started.
Under what authority did you do that? You can't have the purple lights because that's Department of Transportation. That's
Sure.
strictly for funerals.
Right.
Amber is you can use for like school buses and stuff like that. But you can't do an escort like that.
Can't stop traffic.
You can't stop traffic. These guys are passing within 100 feet of an intersection. They're improper lane usage. They ran a red light. They're doing all this stuff, but there's no authority because you fall under the funeral director. This isn't a funeral.
Correct.
So what makes you think you're capable of doing that?
You're right. At this point, Corporal, Sergeant, it doesn't seem like we're here to talk about the officer that hit me with his vehicle.
No,
At
we
this
already-
point, it feels like we're trying to bash the Metro and
No, Jeremy.
on and on.
I'm
Jeremy.
trying to figure out.
the U.S. Marshals that hired us, along with the Orange County deputies that hired us, that are part of this club, that said, "Don't worry, we got you." So at this point,
They
I
said they had
no
you.
longer can continue
Okay.
to talk about this conversation.
No, that's fine, Jeremy. What I was talking about.
Sergeant,
No,
I really do like you guys. I'm trying.
Jeremy,
to do the
can I
right
speak a
thing.
second? We made it clear that when he was done, you and I talked about this, that we were going to go over state statute and show you where you had to be for 2019.
Okay,
That's all we're doing here.
done that, Sergeant.
Okay.
Listen, what we're trying to do is show you. This is somebody who called in a complaint to the sheriff's office
This one
about your
here.
behavior, about the way your company was running. I don't even know if you were there that day or not. Okay.
I was not, but
Okay. So, but what I'm trying to point out is that
when I heard about the guy hanging out the window,
gotta
I
use the
immediately suspended the guy that allowed him to do that, which was the film guy for this police company.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
So what the point I'm trying to make is that's where we're at now. Is we're trying to say, look, we're putting all of our cards out on the table, showing
Sure.
you what's going on, and that we have to make some changes if you want to continue operating the way you are. Because if not, it's not going to work.
I got you, sir.
You understand? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So I mean, when you see this, we have to figure out what makes you think you can legally do that, and you know you can't. We've had this discussion from other escorts you've done that are very similar or the same.
So, Corporal, let me ask you a question. I hear what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. However, the judges agree with what we're doing and say that
They
it's
agree
okay.
with this?
They actually have. because we've
With
been
this right
written
here, they
before.
agree?
With the charity event, yes. So, I have one question. When because I'm not going to say names, but when it's supervisors, go ahead.
Hello.
Hey,
I'm so
show 'em
glad you
these-
could make it.
Show them these videos right here.
I can't see that.
Let me slide this
No,
over.
here, you can have this chair.
Okay, I'm just gonna put this here.
I'm actually going to go. So,
Okay. I'm
Hey,
Linda
I'm gonna
Offit.
want-
Make it in time?
I'm Linda Offit. Nice
Hi,
to
how are
meet
you,
you.
ma'am?
Jeremy,
Here's
thank you
my
for your
card.
time.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Y'all go.
I already have your card, ma'am. I called you yesterday, remember?
Yes, I did get a
Oh,
message.
this-
Yeah. I forgot your name. So we're recording. If you could just state your name for the record that you're here, who you're with.
I don't really need this computer, so. we'll just-
Show him. And go ahead and state your name and
Oh,
everything.
yes. My name's Linda Offit. I'm with the State of Florida Division of Workmen's Comp Bureau of Compliance. I'm a compliance investigator.
Before she starts, I just want you to see this video right here.
Sure.
Of 4 people.
Of 4 people.
Yeah, and I just want you to tell me what you think of it.
This was yesterday.
Oh, yeah, don't worry. I already know what it is. You don't have to show it to me. That's fine.
No,
You
I
sure?
want you to hear what they say.
No, I know what they say.
What do they say?
They say that they're employees, but we all know they're not. So that's neither here nor there. You can say whatever you want, and I'm not going to tell my employees what to say and how to say it. But I know that they're all 1099s, and they all don't get payroll. They get paid per job at the end of the job. So I understand now what sergeants advise, that I have to have the exception. I called to get workman's comp. I've been told by every insurance company that I can't get workman's comp due to the fact that we don't have hourly billed employees. So I understand that now. I will file for the exemption and get the exemption.
Okay.
I was unaware that if you can't get workman's comp, and I guess that's my fault as a business owner, that you can get an exemption.
Now, you've never had workers' comp insurance or any type of insurance at all, correct?
I have the general liability and the insurance for the vehicles and blah, 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 but we've never had...
All of your vehicles are...
Hang on one second. You got insurance on your vehicles, correct?
That is correct.
I've called the insurance company on all your vehicles.
Okay.
And that your vehicles are registered under personal use with the drivers of just you and your wife. I talked to, I can pull up the insurance companies.
Okay.
The two vehicles you presented yesterday, the insurance card to the deputy yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I just talked to that company this morning, and your wife is actually the only authorized driver for those two vehicles, and they're insured as personal use vehicles.
They are insured for
Right.
personal
Yeah, I've
insurance.
sent the videos to your insurance company
Oh,
about
okay.
they're all marked up
Great.
Metro State and everything.
Thank you.
Which is insurance fraud. I'll be point blank with you. It's misrepresentation of auto insurance. Okay. I called the insurance company on the Tahoe that you have. Same
Right.
thing. The other vehicles are also insured for personal use. They're not insured for a company.
Okay.
Jeremy, and the reason I'm telling you this is every time you and I have talked,
Sure, sir.
you keep telling me you want to run a legitimate company.
Right.
That's what you tell me.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm trying to help you.
That's what I
run.
just explained. We're not in here trying to badger him. We're showing him everything we have so that he knows
Right.
that
Where you
we're
got
trying
it
to help
from?
him get on the right path to do the right thing.
Okay.
I forgot to do this, Jeremy.
I'll be happy to file for the exemption. I honestly...
We'll get to that.
Can I go back just one second?
Sure.
I was going to explain when we were talking about Florida state statute. I was going to show you how a funeral procession actually should be run to be legal
Sure.
within the state of Florida and per statute. So if you're running your funeral procession, you have your lead vehicle, and then you have everybody that's in the procession.
Correct.
Okay. The way state statute says, if you want to put 3, 4, 5 bikes behind you, okay, they're running in line with the procession.
Sure.
Nobody's jumping ahead like we've seen you do and grab lights down the road. Okay, you can't do that. You all stay in the line. If you come up to this light and it's red, then you as the lead vehicle have to stop.
Stop, sure.
Correct. Then you proceed. If you want to take that second bike, and we don't have an issue with this, take that second bike out, depending on the length of that funeral. If it's just 2 or 3 cars, you know
Right,
you're going
we
to make
don't.
it through.
Right.
But anyways, he can hold that intersection for you, and the lead vehicle continues on.
Okay.
Now, when the end of that procession comes through that traffic light, this bike has to get behind the procession.
Okay.
It can pass under normal,
2-lane road. Right.
Conditions.
4-lane road. Right.
okay, without lights.
Okay.
Cannot have flashing lights because then it's outside the procession.
Sure.
If it is a double yellow line, it cannot go out and zip down and pass all the bikes.
I totally agree with you.
Okay. So basically what it then does is now you got 3 bikes up here and you got him back here, and until you come into a legitimate passing zone under
Right.
normal conditions, he can pass and get back into your procession.
Correct.
Otherwise,
the speed limit.
yeah.
Cannot violate
Okay.
each other's laws.
So then the next light you come up to, let's say it is green and you're the lead vehicle, you come up into it, you through, your next bike in line behind you would pull out and hold that light.
Correct.
And then fall in back behind and stay behind until he can pass under normal conditions.
Okay.
Okay? And the reason I'm telling you that is because, like I told you, I want to get you, how many times have I told you, you've got a great concept, great company, you've got a need in Central Florida.
I agree, sir.
But we want to get you in everywhere legal.
Okay.
Insurance, liability insurance, workers' comp, the vehicle's properly
We're
insured.
not stopping the black and white car company with green and amber lights.
Listen,
Listen,
we're talking about you
today, not
the black and white company with amber lights, I looked into that.
Green and amber.
You're right, green.
Right.
They are a licensed security company. And by state law,
Uh-huh.
a security company is authorized to use green.
I agree, but not off the property that they're working.
They can go up to 1 mile.
They can
on
go
the
out
property
1
that they're
mile
working.
outside of the
Right.
property they're working.
They can't do from
But we're not talking about them,
downtown
what they do.
Orlando to Woodlawn, which is way more than 1 mile.
Right.
Well, if they're doing an escort, they can.
How?
Because under the security, they're providing a security service. Remember what I was
But
telling
it's
you.
not a contract.
If they have a contract with the funeral home,
But they don't.
well, I don't know that.
Right.
You don't know that.
Okay.
I just went to your funeral home, and they don't have any contract.
I agree. I agree. Yeah,
So-
because they just say, hey, we need you to do
Right,
an
right.
escort.
But what I'm saying is I looked at the company, and they are a licensed security company.
Of course.
So as long as they're operating under contract, you're right, they can do that
Okay.
legally.
Right.
Okay, now, if I go to the funeral home and there's no contract,
Well, I can assure you they're not, but that's neither here nor
I know. Anyways, Jeremy, I
I'm
just
not
want to.
interested in bashing another company.
No,
I'm just
no.
trying to say that there's other companies out there doing the same thing, and because of who I am, it only seems like we're sitting in
You
a
keep
room
going
today.
beside who am I? Have I ever treated you different, Jeremy?
No, and that's what I said. You're very respectful, and so are you, Corporal. I
Ma'am,
truly mean
do you know who he is?
Never met him.
Do you know anything about his past?
Nothing.
Just his business issues, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's-
she's not here because of anything you've done.
But
in
you
your
know my
past.
business issues because these gentlemen are investigating me because I, believe it or not, a very nasty sex offender.
We
And I
never
met a
saw-
girl at a bar that had a fake ID
Okay,
and I
I
got
don't-
arrested for
I
it.
don't
But that's
think
neither here nor there.
Right. I'm not
So-
interested in any of that. I
right.
have one focus, and
Yeah.
that is to do workman's comp, and I'm going to get into that whenever it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Okay, it's my turn.
That's why I
Okay.
called you yesterday because
Yeah, no, I got that. It was
Yeah.
late in the afternoon, and
Oh,
I
sure.
just
She called us and said, "Hey, I understand you're going to be meeting with him.
Yeah.
Would I be able to meet over there? I'll be in that side of town."
I have
We
no
said,
problem.
and I was trying to meet with you today as your
I wasn't there
right. I know. Just
because we're dealing with issues.
Psycho guy.
In fact, he hit me with his car yesterday on purpose.
Who's that?
The Tony, the gentleman you were speaking with.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the landlord.
Yes.
I think I got his card today.
Yeah. I know.
Constantine.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. My name is Linda Offit. I work
Sure.
for the state of Florida.
Right.
I am a compliance investigator for the Division of Workman's Comp.
Right.
My job is to determine whether or not you're in compliance with Florida State Statute 440 as it pertains to workman's comp.
Okay.
By law, you're either required to have it or not.
Right.
It's black and white. There's no kind of in between.
Sure.
I would be conducting this interview with you either on your site or in my office, regardless of what they're doing.
Not a problem.
I'm going straight forward. The only thing that's going on here is that it's convenient for me to meet you here
Sure.
instead of trying to track you down to make appointments, and it seemed like you were going to make yourself available to me
Yeah.
anyway, based on your message yesterday. So we got a public referral. What a public referral is, someone made a complaint online that we have in our database alleging that you don't have workman's comp. So how do I know? I have to do an investigation, I have to interview people, I have to gather documents and make that determination.
Right.
You as the owner of the company, first thing I do is look up your company name. Obviously that's provided to me. And I see that it is just recently incorporated, 2/15/19, under Metro State Special Services Vehicle Protection Unit LLC.
Yes, we incorporated it.
Well, that's the one I'm
Oh.
looking at.
Okay.
So this is where I'm looking at this one here.
Right.
Your address was 3804. I went there. There's North Orange Blossom Trail.
Yeah, we
You're
just
not there?
moved from there
Right.
not even 2 months ago.
Right. Okay, so fast forward, looked in the computer, couldn't find any kind of workman's comp, no problem. Tried to make contact with you.
Sure.
Go to 1725 Lee Road yesterday, fast forward, met with Mr. Williams.
Right, who we can't figure out who he is, but yet for some reason he wrote the statement for
He's-
Tony that ran me over. And
Who's he? What does he look like?
He's
The
a
black
black gentleman, heavy set,
Heavy
some
set black
gold.
gentleman.
Oh,
For some
he-
reason,
Jason
He
Williams,
portrayed himself as the land caretaker.
the property manager.
he told us he's an owner, and that.
Okay.
So he told the deputies on scene the other day he's the owner, and they had to listen to
Tony's
him.
the owner.
That's what I kept telling the deputies.
He told me he was the land caretaker.
Right, he
Whatever.
just all of a sudden
Whatever
showed
him
up.
and whatever him
So
and
that's
Tony.
who I met with yesterday, and I asked, I'm here to do an inspection, same
Sure.
thing I told you, is Metro State here? Well, they're in the process of moving,
Right.
this is their location. I said, I need to meet with Jeremy Dewitte, is he here? I don't think so. Went over there, nobody was there. I looked in the office, is it? Like,
Well,
it's like
you-
an office?
Well, it's not. I mean, yes.
It looked like an office.
It
with
was more because we had to
desks.
put our security cameras because Tony kept going into our stuff, and I wish to God I would have known who he was before we moved. I'm a criminal, but I know I am. But unfortunately, he kept going. He broke into my tow truck. He kept trying to go into our cars. It's
Okay.
neither here nor there.
So I met with Mr. Williams, and as I was looking around to see if there was anybody there, or on the back, I guess there's like a little section there, just to see if anyone was there, if I could make contact with you, even though he told me there wasn't. You don't believe everything they tell you.
The guy that I pay to take care of our cameras told me he was trying to communicate with you through
Yes,
the
correct. I'm getting
cameras
to that.
and
So
give
we
you
walked.
my phone number.
Correct. So we
Right.
walked around the back. I asked him to come down. Who are you? Couldn't hear. You know, Mr. Williams.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't physically there.
No,
Oh,
he wasn't
okay.
there.
Yeah.
Mr. Williams believes just because of cars out there that
Someone's
we're hiding upstairs from
Yeah.
the-
So I just said, if you're here, come down. I didn't know that. And they were trying to talk, and I couldn't hear Mr. There's 3 people talking or 2 people talking, and I was trying to ask questions.
Sure,
so it
sure.
didn't work, but he did try to give me his phone number.
Right.
I said, listen, I've got another way to contact Mr. Dewitte. I will call him. And I left, and next thing I know, I think you called me like an hour later.
Yeah, because you left your business
I
card.
left my card.
It was a couple hours later because I came
It
to
was
the
a little
office
bit
to
later.
find out what was
If
going
I was
on,
there.
and I got the card, yes.
So that's where we're at now. So
Right.
that's how I came about. I'm still now trying to, if you would have been there, or I would have asked you, done this
Again, I
interview then.
understand.
If not, I would have asked you to come to my office and done an interview. So
Sure.
this is fine. So let's get into the workman's comp
Sure.
issues. I heard you say that all your employees are 1099.
Right.
First of all, let's start with how many do you have as 1099s?
All of them.
How many?
Well, right now,
A number,
I
roughly. 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20?
they're all 25.
Okay,
but
give or take.
But again, I have another 5 that pretty much I pay cash because they are snowbirds.
Okay, we're
They
going to
don't-
get to that part.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's start at the top. So you have 25 employees. What do they do? What are
They-
their job descriptions?
There is no job description. They just come in for escorts. That's it.
Okay, escort's a job.
Uh,
So what do they escort? Because I
Just
I
the
don't know a
funeral
whole
escorts,
lot. Like
just the funerals.
by vehicle. I'm
Yes.
assuming that from your name.
Right.
Okay, they're a vehicle escort.
Uh-huh.
And how do you get your jobs?
The funeral homes just call us usually a day or 2 in advance, and then they contract us. Then I call them and just say, hey, I have an escort. Can you pick it up? I usually send out a mass group text to everyone. And
To
they-
everyone, meaning these 1099 guys?
Right. And then whoever can pick it up, picks it up and comes.
Okay, so you're making the arrangement for them to go to whichever one they want to go to. If
No,
don't
no,
want
they
to-
come with me, or I
Oh,
send
you're on that with them.
most of the time.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, you're sending out this mass group chat or text, and
Right.
you say, "Who wants this job at ABC Funeral Home tomorrow at 3:00?"
Correct.
And you get, what if you get 30 responses?
Then I usually take whoever's been with me the longest, and they get the top choice,
Okay.
seniority over.
All right. Okay. So, do you have? I heard you talking a little bit to Sergeant about a contract. When you meet with this funeral home, is there a contract? Tell me what that discussion goes
No,
like.
there is no contract. We
Just
come in
verbal?
and they say, hey, we need funeral escorts, and I say, okay. Some of the bigger ones ask for general liability. I provide the general liability, but some of the smaller ones, as long as we show up and we do our job, they don't really ask anything
Mm-hmm. And what's the
else.
payment arrangement between you and the funeral home?
The family usually pays the funeral home, and then they put that in escrow of some kind of funeral escrow that I'm not really understand. I don't really understand. It has something to do with the state benefits and the death benefits.
And you-
Let's go ahead and pause it right there, because whenever Jeremy says he doesn't understand something, that means he doesn't want to tell people about it. You see, the state subsidizes funeral homes and funerals for victims of violent crime. So when Jeremy Dewitte says that he does high-risk funeral escorts, what he actually is implying there is that the funeral that he's participating in is a funeral of a victim of violent crime. So the funeral homes charge the families. The funeral homes pay Jeremy. The funeral homes get a subsidy just for saying that this is a victim of violent crime. That will get paid on to Jeremy for participating in the escort, and then Jeremy will give a portion of that money back to the funeral homes. And Jeremy or the funeral homes will not pay any taxes on any of this money. So Jeremy's making money. Funeral homes are making money. The state is subsidizing stuff. The families get their funeral with a armed transport guard like Jeremy. So everybody's happy as long as the scheme doesn't get figured out. That's what they're really talking about and getting to the bottom of right here. Thanks for watching PT's Far Removed Uncle. Let's go ahead and get back into the interview.
You get a check from the funeral home.
Normally we get cash, yes.
Okay. Normally. When it's not cash, what is it?
It's a check, yeah.
Made out to who?
To the Metro State.
Okay. And what do you do with that check?
We deposit it.
Into a personal account or a business
Business account.
Okay. All right. And then from those funds, you go ahead and pay your employees. Your
The contractors,
1099s.
yes.
Okay. I'm just going to use the word employees for right now, but 1099s. Okay. All right. And you write them a check?
Most of my Cash App, or the ones that don't have Cash App or they don't have a bank account, they have to go to AmScot. So
Right.
I do give them a check. Yes.
Okay. And that check is a company check or personal check?
It's
That you write to the 1099?
from the business account.
Business,
yes.
okay. And you take out any taxes, Social Security, any kind of deductions?
That's their responsibility because they're 1099.
So the answer is no.
Correct.
No deductions.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, yeah.
One of your employees did say that you take Social Security out. That's I'm just saying.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
Who said that?
I got it on the audio or on the video.
I need to hear
Yeah,
that
I know.
because I've never taken.
That's why I just want to clarify because one employee said that you did, so I just want to clarify.
So how do you pay, what is the terms of the payments to these employees? Is it, you get $100 per hour, per job?
It's
What's
just per
the
job.
terms? Okay, it's per job.
Right.
And how much is it per job, depending? What's it
for-
based on?
It depends on how many they do, but
No,
the-
if they do that one escort that he
$50.
$50 per job, no matter how, if it takes 4 hours or 2 hours?
Correct.
Per hour. Per
No,
job.
per job.
Sorry, that'd be great money. Huh? Okay, $50 per job.
Usually, an average is they usually last about 2 to 3 hours.
Okay, give or take. So, whose vehicles are they using?
They're using mine.
And who provides the gas?
They pay for their own gas
How do you know that?
because the cars would be out of gas if they didn't pay for it.
So this 50 per job does not include gas? They
No.
just pump, so you've got these 1099s that are paying for their gas, but they're using your car.
Correct.
Okay.
You interrupt, I say,
Yeah.
interrupt you. Jeremy, you, as the sheriff's office, we have take-home cars.
Right.
Do your employees take those cars home?
No.
Okay.
None of them do?
No.
Are you sure?
We only started taking them home right now because of Tony.
No.
That's the only reason.
Which, yeah.
I take mine home,
Yeah.
but nobody else does.
Nobody else does.
None whatsoever.
So if I told you I wrote one of your guys a ticket, what would you say?
I would say who?
There's a black male over off of Weston and Forest City
Alan?
a few months ago.
Oh, Drew.
And when I asked him
No,
if this
that
is his
wasn't-
take-home car, he said, yeah, I can take this home with me.
Corporal Ramsey. I
And then
remember
you
it was
see-
first not stopping at a stop sign.
Yep, coming into a school zone.
Yeah, he didn't take the car home. He went and picked up his son to take him to school. And he was on an escort, so I was like, go ahead and take the car real fast and get your son and take him to school.
Really?
Yes.
So, because I see
I remember the
several
whole
times
incident.
there. Well, several times I've seen him there, just not one time. But let her finish. I don't want to.
Anyway, the record driver, he said he takes his truck home, the record.
The record driver takes his truck home because he lives all the way out in Bithlow.
Okay, so he drives the truck home.
And-
Some do. Some take them. It's
No.
not a big deal. It's
It's
just,
not a
No,
big
no,
deal.
he's the only one that.
I don't want you to say something that winds up being incorrect and gets you in trouble.
No.
We're just trying to make sure that she knows that this whole
They
thing
don't take the cruisers home. They're
on a regular
currently
basis.
taking them home this week, the last 2 weeks,
you're
because of
moving.
Tony. Yes.
So on a regular basis, is she saying?
Yeah, on a regular basis, they do not take the units home.
Okay.
Okay. So for these 1099s, do you have any kind of contractual agreement with them, anything in writing stating that they're responsible for their taxes or that they could be terminated at any time?
No.
Nothing contractual?
We just have a hold harmless that they can't sue me if they fall down and hurt themselves because they're doing something stupid.
You have that in writing?
Yeah. I mean, it's a hold harmless. It holds me harmless.
No, do they sign it?
Yeah.
So you could produce those for me? For all 25 of your people?
Maybe not all 25, but yes, I can.
Okay. All right. Just going back on a few notes I forgot. Do you have an FEIN number
Yes.
that you were issued? Okay. When you get a chance, I'll need to get that because some biz doesn't have it on there. Do you know it by heart?
On the LLC, it doesn't have it on there? No. I don't know it by heart.
Okay,
Sorry.
no problem. All right. How do you find these 1099 people?
Craigslist.
Okay.
I don't have as a recruiting budget like the sheriff's office has.
You have a website?
We do, but we haven't even, it's a mess. It's whatever.
Okay. Is it accurate?
As far as what?
Information that's provided on there, what you do? And
Just funeral escorts, yeah. I mean, it would be close to accurate, I guess,
okay.
yeah.
Do you do anything besides funerals?
No.
Okay.
Well, sorry, charity events.
Okay. All right. Do your employees, these 1099s that you find on Craigslist, do they fill out any kind of application? Do you know their social? Do you know their name? Do they
I
know
don't
who they
their
are?
social. I know their name, of course.
I mean, do they produce identification?
They produce their driver's license. I verify they have a motorcycle license, and I verify they have a clean driving record, and I verify they don't have criminal. And if they do, it's, I'm a criminal, so I can't judge. But I don't know their socials. I know their date of birth from their driver's license, but I don't have their socials and stuff.
So what you're saying is you really don't fill out any kind of application. You just take their license and do your own little checks, and
Pretty
that's how
much.
you write the check out
Correct.
to them.
Actually, when I do write them checks, I don't even fill in their names. I don't know if that matters. I let them fill in their names because, quite honestly, I have a very bad memory, and I don't remember people's names very well, so They have call signs.
And how often are they paid?
Whenever they work, whatever job they do.
Okay, if I do a job today, when do I get paid? Is that at the end of the day, at the end of the week?
day. Yeah.
At the end of the day. You meet up with them and pay.
Right.
One of the things I was going to ask, like when the sheriff's office, before we changed our off-duty services and everything's paid through the sheriff's office, we were 1099 employees, like you're saying. And to be a 1099 employee, you have to have their social security number. But you're saying you don't have any social security numbers.
I don't take that because I don't want
Okay,
them.
then how do you 1099 them?
They fill out their own documents and send
But no,
it in.
you have to have that.
You're
You
responsible for that.
you have to have that, Jeremy, because you as a company
Have
will
to
be sending that
verify that.
information to the IRS that
I'm-
they've been 1099'd.
Please, I'm sorry, 1 second.
Okay, no problem, sir.
Yeah, they have to verify
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they're
I know.
legal to.
Correct, right.
Yeah, honey. Listen, I'm still at the sheriff's office, Habibi. Okay, yalla, yalla, yalla.
Yeah, so what I was saying is in order to 1099 somebody, you have to have their social security number because you report that amount that you've paid that separate employee from your company to
Right.
the IRS that they've earned this amount of money.
Right, and my accountant, she does all that. I
Okay,
don't
so
know
she
how-
would have all their social security numbers and how much they paid them and all that stuff.
She's not really an accountant. She's just somebody that does my taxes. But
Okay.
yeah,
So speaking along that same term, is this 1099s, do you give them a 1099 form at the end of the year? A W-4?
the W-4, yes, so they can fill it out, right?
Well, you fill that.
You fill that out. They don't fill that out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for you to fill
Yeah,
out.
Metro State fills that out.
You've been in business for 10 years.
Yeah.
Man. You don't do this stuff?
I don't deal with this. I don't deal with their socials because I don't want somebody to turn around and say
But you
that
have-
I use
You're a
their
business
social.
owner.
You're a
Every-
business owner.
Every employee.
Yeah, there's a difference between me being a business owner. See, because here's the thing. I get accused of things that aren't even accurate, and then cops are looking for me and talking to me, and then sergeants are telling people cases that are open file, even though they're open information that never had any ground or basis. So I try to keep myself very hands off of everything
All right,
that I
listen.
touch.
I've
Stop
got
doing
to
that.
run. I've got that meeting.
All right. Is it over there?
Yeah, across the hall.
All right.
Um,
I'll be over there shortly.
Just let me know whenever you guys are going to get out a warrant for me. Just call me and I'll
Jeremy.
come in and turn myself in. You don't have to make a scene.
It's not like
no,
this.
it's not like that,
promise
Jerry.
you. I promise.
It's not that. Like I've said, and I mean it. You got a great company, great concept. We
You have
just
a
got to
great
get you.
concept. The company.
Yeah, the company. I should rephrase that. You got a great concept. We just got to get the company legitimate.
Right.
And that's once you're legitimate, I'll be waving to you.
All right, sorry.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Do you have any other officers besides yourself? Any other officers? You're an LLC, so how is your corporation set up? Your
I'll be
business?
honest with you. I didn't set up the LLC. I really don't even know how to do that. What happened was we were going to start an ambulance business, and I brought on a female that was going to handle my accounting and all that stuff, and the ambulance business she was going to manage it because of my record. I can own it, but I can't manage it. So she was like, well, you should be LLC for
Okay,
liability
yeah, you are.
and stuff.
That's fine.
And so she made me LLC, and honestly,
That's
I really don't even can't
No
answer
problem.
that.
So, what did you have for? You've been doing this about 10 years.
Mhm.
How were you doing it before?
Sole prop.
So, did you have some type of a EID number, employee
Well, I had a
identification number for that? or-
fictitious name. That was it.
So, do you pay yourself?
Do I pay myself? No. I
You
just.
get no money. So, how do you live? Do you take profits when you file your taxes? How do you?
Well, I mean, yeah, we do when they do the taxes. They do what I made for the year, and then they.
So, like a Schedule K, where you make profits, you take profit from the company. I guess what I'm asking, we'll get into that accounting stuff. Do you write yourself a check? Do you take money out of your bank account, withdraw to pay yourself to live
No, I just use my card.
from your bank account?
Yeah.
Okay, that's form of payment. I mean, you're paying yourself from the business that you're depositing in from the funeral homes,
Okay.
something like that. But you're not taking a check, is what you're saying. You
Right.
just take ATM cash
Yeah.
to do what you need to do.
No, I don't even take ATM cash. I just use my card to pay for whatever I'm paying.
Your rent, everything is like that?
Yeah.
Everything is through card? Okay. Everyone has a different setup. All right, let's get to your employees. Now, I was there today. There was Steven, Victor, and another guy, Azap.
Randall.
Is that his name, Randall?
Mm-hmm.
All right. These are your 1099s, people? Okay.
Yeah.
Steven, what's his last name?
Um,
Can you call him? And I need to know how long he's been working with you as a 1099.
He's been with me for like 2 or 3 years.
Okay. And his duties would be like an escort, vehicle escort? Is that what everybody does? Like, I'm trying to distinguish
Yeah.
if they're clerical. These guys told me today they're just helping you move, so I didn't know if they're escort
Well, yeah,
or
they
not.
were just helping me move today, and everyone was doing it for free. 'Cause,
Right, that's fine.
Yeah, contrary to whatever may be, we don't make that much money. So,
Okay, so Steven, Victor, I need their last names. How long has Victor worked for you?
a year.
Okay. And he does the same thing, escort, when he's not helping you as a friend to move?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Victor's also an escort driver?
Yeah.
Is that what you call them,
Yes.
drivers? Okay. And what about Randall? Same thing?
Same thing.
And how long has he been working for you?
A year.
Okay.
Now, are all of them motor officers, or do they do other functions?
Just Randall. The other 2 drive cars.
Escort driver. And what did you say about Randall? He's different?
Different?
He does. I have escort drivers for all 3. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. And so they're paid $50 per job.
Mm-hmm.
I have to just fill this out. And they're check or cash. I'll put both because we have an
Cash
option.
App. Yeah.
Cash app, like through Vimeo or something like that.
Like Venmo? You do
PayPal?
like Venmo. Yeah.
PayPal kind
Okay.
of thing. Same kind of thing.
Like
But they-
Venmo, you send the money through the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
So they've been given checks before.
Yeah.
Okay. So I put both if that's give 2 to 3 years. Okay. How long, Randall? 1 year. Who else do you have? Just give me 5 total. I don't need the whole list right now. But just who else that the sergeant showed you on the video?
That was those 3 actually.
Was there more?
Not at that time. Well, there was, but they were at the cemetery.
So
They
the
didn't-
day I went there and the day he was there are the same people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, give me
What
one.
are the name of the 5 that were with you on the escort when you had the complaint?
I have David. I have.
Okay. What's his last name?
I swear to God, I don't know. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
let's
How long
see
has he
here.
worked there?
Not even 3 months. I have
2 months? 1 month?
like maybe 2 months. Like
2
I
to
have a
3
guy.
months.
His name's Pants, but I don't know his name. He's only been there a few weeks.
Let's
you know.
talk about David. 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Same rate of pay, 50.
Yeah.
He's an escort driver.
Yeah.
And he's a 1099 also.
Right.
All right. He has his own car. None of them have their own vehicles or cars. You said that earlier.
Their personal vehicles?
No, to do the job.
Oh no,
You
they use
tell
my
them-
cars.
So they come to your job and pick up the car, and you guys just go to this escort like as a
Correct.
group.
Right.
And they use your uniforms, correct?
Are they in uniform?
Yeah, they're in uniform. Well, they get their
It
own.
says Metro.
Yeah, they get their own shirts made, and they buy their own pants. The only pants that I provide are the motorcycle pants because they're very expensive.
Okay, you don't know Randall's last name either.
Brocious. That one I know because I can't understand.
Do you know
how to
spell it?
Not a clue. That's what I was just going to say.
All right.
I'm gonna go back to Steven. Steven, it does more than just your. He just more than escorts, right?
Oh, well, Steven's he's like, because I guess he went through the academy and whatever. Anyways, long story short, he is kind of like, whenever there's a complaint, he's the guy that I give it to, and he just deals with the complaints because he just chooses. He wants to do it. That's what he likes to do. So,
Right.
Steven is like kind of his IA guy,
yeah.
internal affairs guy. He does the complaints. He also does the discipline. So if they're going to be suspended for a period of time or terminated,
He handles that.
yeah, he's the one.
So
who
he could
does
also
that.
be under admin.
Yeah.
We don't really call it termination. We just kind of tell him we don't call you.
We don't need you.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it literally is can you do it? If not, great.
Has anybody ever called you and said, "Hey, did this person work for you? And how did they perform?"
I've only had one company ever call me, and believe it or not, in 10 years, and say, "Hey, was this an employee of yours?" I said, "Well, he wasn't an employee. He was a contract worker." And he's like, "Well, that's good because we're pool screens, and he's going to be a contractor for us. So was he reliable? Did he show up when he said he would?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was the only time that I've ever actually had that, believe it or not."
Okay. So getting to these independent contractors, the statute has a list that requires you to meet certain criteria to have
Okay.
them be an independent contractor.
Okay.
Your vision of an independent contractor is very much like the general public. The IRS has a statute for that. Everybody kind of has their own definition. Workman's comp has their own definition.
Okay.
So let me go through some of these questions with you. You pretty much answered most of them, but I'm going to be a little bit more formal for the record. Do any of your employees, any of your 1099 staff, have their own business account?
No.
Do they have their own FEIN number?
What do you mean business account?
Do they have, like, you're writing a check to Linda Offit Operations, Linda Offit,
Escort
service.
management service. Yeah.
Oh, no.
yeah,
no.
they, from what you're saying, no. They don't have their own work truck or work equipment. You already mentioned that, right?
Some of them have their own
What do
equipment
they do,
and lights.
or they don't?
Yeah, they don't have a car. They don't have their
Right,
own
we're
car,
talking
right.
about the vehicle.
Sure.
They don't have FEIN numbers. They do receive compensation from you
Right.
in a form of cash or whatever you pay in Vimeo. Do you know anything about their business, their bank accounts? Obviously, you don't
No.
know what they do with their money when they
Right.
get it. If
Right.
they just cash it at Amscot, like you said.
Right.
They perform work.
You don't do direct deposit or anything.
No.
No direct deposit. Right.
We don't have payroll. They literally
Right.
come to me, and I just either give them a check or I give them cash from the envelope that they give me.
And you've never written it to Linda Offit Enterprises, or
No.
none of them have their own. Like, they're not moonlighting on the side with you, and they run their own escort business that you're aware
No,
of.
no, not that I'm aware of.
All right. So they're free to go do whatever they want. If they want to go do an escort for a wedding or something like that, they're free to do that.
Well, we don't do weddings, but yes, they're free
But
to go.
they can represent. Can they represent you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have to do.
You mean
their-
like they can't? You mean like they can go and their friend says, "Hey, I want you to come do my funeral."
Well, not so much a funeral, but maybe a private event.
No, they can't do
Security.
that because we don't do security and we don't do things that
Okay.
are not funeral. We do charity events, but
You're
not.
strictly escort,
Right.
vehicle escort.
Correct.
You've never
Okay.
done a security? Listen, now's not the time.
No, we don't do
Listen,
security. There
Stop,
was.
stop.
Oh, go ahead, I'm
Listen.
listening.
Now's not the time
Mhm.
to be mincing words.
No.
She is here to help you avoid a whole bunch of problems.
Okay.
So, if you say something that
Uh-huh.
is not accurate, okay, and she finds out or already knows
Uh huh.
that that's not accurate,
Sure.
she cannot help you.
Right.
Her focus then becomes on behalf of the state.
I understand.
So, when I tell you that, I want to make sure you know Woodlawn has already said that you work for them as a security company.
We don't
So-
do security. We park cars for them. They say, "Can you come?" They say, I won't lie. They say, "Can you come and do security?" And it's like, well, we're not doing security. We're parking cars. And we literally stand there and say, up, here, up, here, up, here. We're not doing security. We're keeping people away or something like that. It's
I just want to make sure because they've already said that you provide
It's
a security service for them on like Easter, for example.
right.
There's a big
Easter,
crowd.
it's
Listen,
a parking detail.
Listen,
it's
if
not
it's a big
security.
crowd, they say that you park there in your vehicle, that you provide a security, not an escort service, you provide a security service. And you have admitted that you've done that. So,
Right. I never will say that we don't do the parking for them, but it's
Okay.
not a security detail. We're not doing security work. We are literally parking our cars
but
and
you
then
see though,
parking
but you
cars.
see though, that's what she's asking.
Right, I
You only
understand.
do escort, and now you're saying, well, we do park cars as a service as well. So I just want to make sure she knows that you're trying to be completely forthcoming
Right.
with her.
Yeah, I don't want you to tell me what you think I need to hear.
No.
Just lay it out there, and where the chips fall, they fall.
We park cars. You know what I'm saying?
That's
If
fine.
it, like for Easter or Christmas,
Fine.
or they do
So you do more than just escorts. That's what she's trying to say.
but we don't. But it's for the people that use us for funerals, and they say, "Hey, you have the cars. Can you park here and turn the lights on and park cars for us?" That's what we do. So like Christmas, they do a night visual for the families of when they, for some reason for Easter, Christmas, and they want the lights because it's dark out. They do Veterans Day,
Okay.
and that's it.
I
So-
got it. So getting back to these independent contractors, they receive the money for services that you provide them to go to. You say, hey, I have a contract with ABC Funeral Home. We're going to go do this job. I need 3 guys. I need 5 guys. It's going to be from 10 to 11. That's the nature of how you do your business.
Well,
Is that
yes,
accurate?
everything but the time thing. Usually it's just, hey, they need us here by 10. Who knows when, when we go, we'll go, and when we're done, we're done. So there's no real end time.
Right. So these independent contractors, they agree to perform specific services that you've described for a specific amount of money of $50, and you control the means of whether or not they go. That's true, correct?
I don't really control it. Again, if they text in and say I want to go, then they go. You know what I'm saying?
They can
they're the one
refuse.
that they can refuse
Right.
at any time.
Right.
Sure.
But if you don't call them or tell them, then they don't have any work.
Sure. But if we would only do that if they're if they're not safe or if they don't show
Jeremy,
up.
stop. She's just asking simple
Right,
questions.
right,
You
okay.
already said, Guy, that,
Yeah.
listen, you said if 30 people call in, I pick the senior people.
The senior people
so
that have been
you
there
are
the
the one who
longest.
picks
Sure.
them and they
Controls
come
that.
up. That's all
Okay.
she's trying to.
Yeah.
Don't listen. I understand you're nervous and you think if I say the wrong thing, I'm gonna be in trouble. The cat's out of the bag. You don't have workers' comp. She's trying to get you into compliance.
Right.
So just tell her so she knows what path
Direction
to
to
put
do.
you on.
Okay.
If you tell her the wrong things and you confuse her, she's gonna be like this, and it's gonna wind up looking like you're trying to do something shady.
Right.
So I'm telling you, you know what? When my accountant says you screwed up, I go in there, how do I fix it? Well,
Right.
you need to tell me everything you've done with your money and don't leave a dime out, because if you do, I'm going to put you on the wrong path, and then you're going to be looking at a criminal charge because you told me and I helped you facilitate an illegal tax return.
Right.
That's what she's trying to do for you right now. So just be honest.
Yes.
Yeah. You already said this, that your independent contractors, they are responsible for their own gas.
Right.
Okay, and the independent contractors, they are responsible to see the job to the end, meaning they just can't leave in the middle.
I mean, they can, but then I would never call them again.
Right, and you wouldn't pay them, perhaps.
No, I would. We've had that before where they leave and I'll pay them half, because they were there for half the job.
Okay. The independent contractors receive compensation for their work on a per job basis.
Correct.
Okay. And the independent contractor, if they incur a loss, it's on them. If they wreck the bike, who pays for it? Or the car? Is it bikes? Is it motorcycles?
It's both.
Okay. If they wreck the car or they wreck their bike, who pays for that?
If it's their fault, they sign the hold harmless. If it's an accident, then it's the other driver.
She's talking about, let's say one of you guys are going around the corner.
Uh-huh.
They fall over on your bike
Right.
because they hit a pebble in the road.
They have a hold harmless.
Wait, listen.
I'm listening.
They damage the bike.
Right.
Who pays to fix that bike?
Well,
You?
I do.
Okay,
Right.
that's what she's trying to get
Yeah.
at.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
Either
I
you or
understood
your
that
insurance.
because you said already that your insurance, you have insurance in your name.
Right.
So
right.
you're gonna cover
But they have the hold harmless, so that way if they
Any
twist their
injuries
leg
to
or
them, yeah.
whatever happens to them, that's on them.
Yeah. So you basically told them you have no medical coverage for them. It's on their own, and that's the whole harm.
Unless the car hits them and it's
right.
not
and
their
then they
fault.
can, and
Right.
then yeah.
So that way my guys just behave.
All right. That's pretty much the independent contractor checklist. Now, you talked a little bit about exemption. Exemption only applies to you as an officer. You're not even listed as an officer officially, but you're an LLC, so you're considered the officer. Exemption would be just something that you do with my agency to exempt yourself. That is only going to help you not help you, but if you had an injury, you wouldn't be able to make a claim. But it doesn't affect you because you don't have workman's comp.
Right.
So the exemption is going to apply if you had a policy and didn't want to cover yourself, include yourself in the policy. Then you'd exempt yourself and your premium would be lower based because you're not included.
Right.
Exemption is going to help you, but it's not going to help you or hurt you. It's just a personal choice. If you don't get an exemption, that's
so
fine.
What's the point of saying I'm exempt?
To say it to who? To me or
Just-
to anybody?
To anybody, I guess. I don't know.
Exempt pretty much only applies to like construction. If it's an individual working construction.
Uh-huh.
Any other type of business, you're required to have it. Now, as a single sole proprietor business owner, you still have to say, here's all my documents state for workers' comp and everything, but I am choosing to opt out of workers' comp because it's only me, and I will take care of my own medical bills.
Right.
But as soon as you employ anybody else at all for anything, you are now required to have workers' comp for them. There is no exemption for that. If you have a corporation, there's no exemption for that, even for yourself.
It goes with the individuals. There's two classifications, construction and non-construction. He's correct. The construction, you have to have an exemption or a policy. There's no way around it because you have one employee, you're the officer or not. Exemptions are highly popular in construction. They're less popular or less useful or less used in non-construction, which is what your business is classified. It's classified as non-construction.
Okay.
So as soon as you have 4 or more employees, you need to have workman's comp. If you want to exempt yourself, then you're out of the count, and then you can have 4 additional. You get exempt means you're out of the count of the 4. That's all
Right.
that means.
Okay.
So
So you're saying I have to have workman's comp?
it depends. It
Because
depends on how
I've
you want to.
called insurance companies and they say we don't have what's called billable hours.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the insurance side, how you get it, or well, I'm the compliance end. But
Okay.
I do understand that you probably have inquired about
Right.
it. You've had it before, so you know how to get that, correct?
But no, I've never had workman's comp.
You have. That's why I asked you 3
No,
times.
not me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you had it with your other agency. Maybe
Which
not with-
agency?
the one you said you had a partner with, Leandra. Does that ring a bell?
That Leanda had Metro State Protection. That wasn't my
Right.
company at all in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. That company had workman's comp.
That's not mine.
Okay.
That Jessica is who I started the ambulance business, or what I was
Oh,
attempting
sorry.
to start the ambulance business
Okay.
with.
That's
Leanda-
the company I saw that
that's-
had the same addresses all matched, COE, and so I just assumed that was affiliated with you.
No, in the state.
You weren't ever an employee of that company?
No, and the Department of Agriculture has done the same thing. The Department of Agriculture even said that we are the security company, and we've never been that security company.
Okay.
Why
In
would
fact-
they use your address? Your
Yeah.
Because it's
they used your physical addresses that we have on file for everything. for you.
2549 Alacoby Drive.
I've never lived
Chloe.
at 2549 Alacoby.
Leandra McMurtry.
Right.
Okay, so you're never a company affiliated with that company?
I never
Okay.
lived. Well, I was affiliated with it because it's my mother, but I never worked for that company, and I never ran that
Okay,
company.
that
and
company had workman's comp.
yeah, but I
Okay.
don't work for that company. I never have, and I never was a part of ownership of that company.
Okay. It's an LLC, so you could have been and just not listed on here. I would have to look at your corporate records
You
and
can-
filings.
I-
But no, I'm not interested in that company.
Right, but
the whole
I
point
have
was
no
is
clue how the workman's comp works because
Okay. you weren't associated with that when they had it.
I knew
Got it.
my mother. She's
When you
she's
say
not
she,
even
you're
my
talking about
mother.
Leandra?
yes, she's not
Yeah,
even my
yeah.
mother, but she's my mother. My mother is married to a woman, and
Okay.
that is my stepmother,
Okay.
or my stepfather, whatever you want to call it.
Okay,
So-
we can stop it right there. That's fine. So that company was not yours. You weren't affiliated with it. You just know Leandra because she's your stepmother.
Correct.
Whatever.
So that's you said you were affiliated with this. Is that the only way you're?
I'm only
with
affiliated with it being the fact that she's my mother,
Okay,
and she
okay.
started the security company, and
You were never an employee of hers or got
Never.
paid from it. Okay. So anyway, that company had workman's comp.
okay,
That's all I was trying to say.
sure.
So that company had workman's comp for some time, and that's why I thought you were affiliated with that. That's what we're trying to clear up. You're not. You weren't. That's all fine. So to get workman's comp, that's a whole other story. You have to get a policy. If you have 4 or more employees, these, I'm going to be honest with you, these are not 1099 employees by the statute.
Okay.
They're not. They don't meet the criteria for 1099. I would like to interview them individually. That would be part of at least 5 of them, and hear what they have to say.
Sure.
That would be if you're going to cooperate and give us that information,
Sure.
their name and number, and I could ask them the same questions. Take 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
So if you can get one of them on the phone, I could ask them now. I can set that up. But you cannot run a business without workman's comp if you have 4 or more employees that you pay.
So do you provide a list of workman's comp companies I can call and get insurance through, or how does that work?
Well, we don't recommend anybody. You can go to our website and search that way. There's places that call help with coverage, but you're responsible for those employees.
Okay. So,
They don't meet the statutory definition of independent contractors.
so then technically I should be taxing them then and keep withholding their taxes.
Or they have to be independent contractors by definition, which would mean
How
they
do you-
have to have their own company. You have to write checks to their company. You're basically subbing the work to them, that type of thing.
It's like a builder comes in. He doesn't build anything. He has the framers come in. Well, first he starts off with the earthwork move. That's a whole different person. That person comes in. He doesn't have to worry about workers' comp on them. He needs to make sure for his own protection. But he doesn't provide it. He doesn't tax them. He pays them a flat fee for move the dirt from here to there so I can put a slab here.
Right.
Okay, that's a 1099.
Okay.
Right? You're not. You're hiring these people to do a specific service, at a
Right.
specific time, under your rules, under your uniform,
Mm-hmm.
all right, under your equipment. So all of that falls under you.
Okay.
The sheriff's office had the same problem. We went through the same thing. We were all working off duty, 1099, and the IRS came in and said, nope, they're employees. The sheriff said, no, they're not employees. They work for those people. They're working for them.
Right.
IRS came back and says, do they follow your rules? Yeah. Do they use your equipment? Yeah. Are they in your uniforms? Yeah. If they mess up, do you discipline them? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're employees. You owe us this much money in back taxes.
Okay.
And went after him. Now, of course, the sheriff, it's just like anybody else, works out a deal with the IRS so that they can survive and make it work. And that's how it always works. They give you this big fee, and then they drop it way down to help you out, so they can at least say that they did their job, you did your part, and everybody's happy again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you're at.
Okay. Well,
So what I'm going to do is staff this with the supervisor and find out which way we're going to go with as far as giving you any kind of enforcement actions or a records request to produce your records. Your business records, we have the authority to issue business records to see exactly what you're doing and how you're paying your employees and what you say is accurate.
sure. Motherfuck. I'm sorry.
No, you've been here a while, so I'm sure you're getting some calls.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Okay. What do you have for an address to locate you? Since you're not going to be at that.
We haven't moved anywhere yet. We're kind of putting everything in storages and stuff
problem.
and trying. So, I mean, the only way to really get a hold of me is to call me.
Well, where do you live?
11. You can look me up any way you want. Jeremy
I'm just
Charles
asking
Dewitte. You just type that in Google, you can find me very easily.
It's
By
okay.
the way, that's how you can find out that I never lived at 2549 Alacoque, because guess what? That's less than 500 feet from a school. So I
Okay,
can
what is
promise
the
you I never
address
lived there.
that you're giving me to locate you at? Something?
It's 1125 Georgia Boulevard, Orlando, Florida, 32803.
Jeremy, stop with the attitude.
Eight,
Listen, she doesn't care about your prior charges.
I
Just
don't.
look, her opinion is probably the same as mine. Did you go to jail?
Yeah, sure.
Did you do your time?
Of course.
Are you on probation right now?
No.
So you have fulfilled and paid back society for everything that they said you took from them, right? Then what is
a
the
girl
problem?
at the bar with a fake ID
Listen,
is
but
breaking the laws of society,
I wasn't part of
yes.
that. I'm just telling you.
Yes.
You've paid your debt to society.
Right.
You've been given a second chance. Correct?
Sure.
So I can't speak for everybody. You always know there's always going to be somebody out there who has an ill feeling for anybody. Okay,
Sure.
It doesn't matter. But I'm telling you, from me, Sergeant Vidler, from her, we don't care what happened in your past. You paid your debts to society. You're trying to move on and do the right thing, and we're trying to get you to do the right thing.
Yeah, the only one
Okay?
bringing it up is you.
Yeah. So stop doing it,
So,
man, because people wouldn't know. Half the time they only know because you say it. And I know you say it in such a sarcastic way because you're still hurt by it.
Of
But,
course.
And understandably, I would be too, especially if I felt like I was entrapped. Okay?
Ruined my life. Ruined my military career that you were asking me so much about, by the
Okay.
way.
So,
So,
but the point is, it's over. It's done. You're trying to make something. If you keep holding on to the past, you're never going to get ahead.
Right.
It will always drag you down. It's like you're trying to hold on to the ball and chain. They've already cut it loose. Stop holding on to it.
Yeah. You're your own worst enemy, really. So I need to see your ID for my case. I verify you're who I'm dealing with and that I have the address. I'll just take a picture of it right here. Okay. And that's got the address on it, you said, right?
yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, there you go. Thank you. All right. So you're going to be here for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me make a phone call and see. I have to go to my car and print some paperwork and bring it back to you. You can write an affidavit, whatever you want to say, in regard to your employees, what you told me. Because I didn't tape record it. That's their evidence. It's not mine.
At this point, I don't know what's happening. I'd
You
like
don't-
to
it doesn't-
contact a lawyer.
Okay.
So what I would like you to do, I call your supervisor. Let's find out what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't want to get. I'm not trying to be a jerk.
No, you're not. That's fine.
I just
All right. It's
before I
already
start
fine.
putting things on paper and getting myself further in debt
Were
or
you sworn
trouble.
in before? Was he sworn
Yes,
in? Okay.
they
so
have,
there you go.
of course, the copy of it.
Okay. So what I'll do is, if you do get the attorney, you need to give that information to me who it is, the letter of representation, so I can tell.
I don't even know what's happening. Just
I
yet,
understand,
so-
but you brought the lawyer up, so my job is to let you know.
Well,
if
whenever
you do
somebody
get
starts
one,
saying,
to get-
let's write a statement, that's...
It's
you
an
know.
affirmation, just,
Right.
I was gonna ask you just to write about what you said as far as the employees.
All that she's
That's
saying
okay.
is describe how you run your business.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
But it's okay.
I'm not trying to be a jerk.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's all good. So I will be right back, and you have to go to a meeting?
Not good.
Oh, okay.
I'll wait for you.
All right. Give me a minute. I'm just gonna go in that conference room.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Let's see what we're doing here. Hopefully my printer will work.
You want to close that? You don't interrupt anybody else's stuff going on. Thank you.
All right. You give me a second now. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sure you're overwhelmed. A lot of stuff's been thrown at you.
No, I got a bunch of guys calling me for some reason.
Hopefully, Tony. Wait, so he broke into your truck, and you said something about ramming it. What happened there?
He hit me. Hey, what's up?
Hey, Nut, I was just calling you to ask you how you wanted me to lock the office, but I just got off the phone with ASAP, and I guess you told me to just leave it how it was when I got here.
Yeah, just leave it because, yep, we're done. So, all right? All right, thanks.
Oh, I took your bike.
Okay.
I don't know if you know about it, but the tire pressure sensor is on.
The tire pressure sensor on my motor?
Yeah, it's saying how many pounds of pressure you got in your tire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's doing like it said 33 and 30.
Okay. All right, I'll look at that.
I didn't know if you did it or not.
Yeah, it should be at 35, but I'll look. All right, thanks. All right, bye. Anyways. So yeah, he broke into my tow truck. We didn't even start yet. And he said it was parked in the wrong place. So he broke into it and tried to move it. We have it on video. Called the sheriff's office. They didn't arrest him. Yesterday he hit me with his car. The officer talked to Sergeant Vidler. They didn't arrest him. He left the scene.
How did he? I have no knowledge about it. So how did he hit you?
Well, we're trying to get away from him. So we were moving to move stuff around. And he sat and waited. Sergeant Vidler and an officer from Sector 1 told him to leave us alone, quit following us, quit bugging us, let us move out. And he sat there and waited in his car all day. We finally left. He followed us, and I was like, oh, it looks like he's following us, so let's turn here. So we went down the street, did a U-turn, came back, there he was. Did the same thing. We did that twice. We made the left on Fairbanks, slowed down, pulled over to the side of the road. He stopped behind us. So now
Okay, it's me. I'm going to run to my car and print some documents.
Okay.
Hopefully my printer works. If not, we'll just have to meet again. But it
Sure,
should. I'm
sure.
going to pull my car around because I'm all the way on the other side.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I'll be back.
So,
I was gonna tell her to park in the front, but then I'd get in trouble. There's a designated. I can always see that. So he's like, oh, why'd you tell her? Huh?
trying to make it easier.
Yeah, well, they don't care of it.
So then we stopped in Suicide, and we sat there for 3 minutes, and he pulled behind us and just sat there. And I was like, well, he's not going to stop, so we need to just get on the highway and try to see if we can get rid of him. And so as soon as we started to move, he shot up into oncoming, raced up around my cars, and then came at me with his car and brushed the side of my motorcycle.
Oh, he hit you on your bike?
Yeah. Well, one of my bikes, the older one, the training bike. But yeah.
But you were on it?
Yeah.
Riding
and
it?
Yeah.
What a dummy.
And then he sped off and went after the truck that was leading. I guess he thought he was... So I told them to pull over into the shopping plaza. When they pulled into the shopping plaza, at that point we entered Winter Park jurisdiction. He stopped on Fairbanks in the middle of the road and just sat there. And all of our guys were in the parking lot. And he got out of his phone and he's videotaping us. And I'm like, what in the fuck? So anyways, it all started because I stayed at the same property forever and I should have never moved. Anyways.
Is that with the place about 441 or something?
Yeah, we finally moved to this new place. And he was like, oh yeah, this is great. But anyways. So we were only there 2 weeks. And I hear a woman scream And I look over, and he's holding her and shaking her. And I can't figure out what's going on because the detective won't talk to me. He's shaking her. She's like, let me go. He reaches down into her purse, takes an envelope out, tears it up. Whether he had the pen in his right hand or the pen was in the envelope, I don't know. All I do know is he had a pen. She's kind of batting him away because he has her up against the car and he's in front of her. So she's kind of like doing this to get away. And he rears back with the pen and goes to stab, or arcs, and he misses, and he actually stabs himself in the arm. At this point, I was already running from across the field. I can see all of it in front of me, and I'm running that way. He sees me coming. He lets her go, and she runs to her car, gets in her car, and takes off.
Well, what car was he pushing her against? You said he was pushing her
It
against
was
car.
his car.
Uh-huh.
He's like a car dealer also, so he has multiple used cars there. About an hour goes by, and a unit shows up, and he's like, I need you to write a statement. I was like, why? And she's like, she described you saying that you saved her from what was happening. And I was like, listen, I even told him, I was like, we've only been here 2 weeks. If I write this, it's just going to go bad. And he's like, she's really shaken up. She's crying. I mean, blah, blah, blah. So I wrote the statement. And, nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, I'm assuming at that point his lawyer filed for discovery or something. And he called me, and he was like, I need you to tell me what happened. And I was like, well, who are you? And he identified himself. And then I said, well, I'm not interested in really talking. And he's like, well, if you're going to be a dick about it, I'm not, So I was like, okay, this conversation's done. And I hung up. A week later, I get a fake eviction notice saying that we didn't pay rent. And I've paid rent. I even have surveillance footage of him taking the checks. And
Well, if you have checks, that's all you need proof of.
right, but I still have to put money in the court and this and that, and I just dumped a shit ton of money at the property, and now I have to pay money to get somewhere else, and I don't have money. So, I don't even have $500 to put in the court registry right now. So anyways, he's saying that we didn't pay rent. Then, in between all this, he had broken into it started to go downhill. He said he broke into the tow truck. I have video of it. I showed it to the deputy, and for some reason he wasn't arrested. I just know that if I did any of these things, or if I hit an off-duty officer with my car, I would have fucking been shot in the street. But, this old man for some reason, and he's old. Oh, we forgot all about, he took my application for rent, took my address, came to my home, blocked my driveway with his truck, got out of his truck and threatened me and my wife. He's an old 70-year-old man, so I'm not threatened. But my wife was shaken up. We called OPD because I live in Orlando. And they're like, were you afraid? Did he have a weapon? And I'm like, no, but he still threatened us. So they just wrote a report about it. That's all. I don't even know if they wrote a report about it. They gave me a case number or an incident number.
If they gave you an incident number, it sounds like they took some type of notes.
Yeah. So it's just been ongoing, and
It sounds like you've had a bad year. Because I know about your Chicago thing.
yeah.
That you're still waiting to figure out what's going to happen with that.
Yeah. 2 of my sons died during birth.
In Chicago?
No, here.
This year? Oh, sorry to hear that, man.
I can't fucking.
Now, are you having to go back to Chicago? So I know you're out on bond.
I don't know I'm not on bond. I didn't get arrested. Everyone keeps saying that. I don't
You're
know.
out on a $1,500 bond, Jeremy.
I'm not on bond. I didn't do any kind of bond paperwork or anything. What? All I did was throw a fucking
arrested
chair.
25 June 2019 at 16, getting old here. 16:59 hours. It says bond date 25 June 2019 at 22:38. And there was a $1,500 bond. The receipt number that they gave you was a 187600840, and you were released on your own recognizance.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, now I understand. I didn't have a bond. I didn't know. I just signed
$1,500.
I didn't pay anything. I just signed a document.
You
So-
paid something because they don't let you go unless you give the money.
I s-
They gave you a receipt saying you gave them the money.
I swear to God, Corp, I didn't say.
Read that right here. What does that say?
I'm telling
Does
you
that
the
say
truth.
bond? Does it say bond?
It does.
Does it say you paid $1,500?
It does. I swear on my soul, I'll take a poly right now. I never,
See?
and I didn't see this. Hold on, what is this? Ag assault. What the fuck?
Let me see. I'll read it. Yeah, they charge you. You know what they charge you with.
No,
but they
I
told
was
you.
only told I was charged with
Assault simple.
assault
ag
simple,
using
yeah.
a deadly weapon, and then criminal damage to property. What do you think? You think throwing chairs from the fourth story?
6th floor.
Well, I know. In his report, he says 6.
Yeah, what's funny too is he says that I threw it at him downstairs, and that's not true either. But for some reason, no one
Threw it
just
at
told
the
us.
police.
No, him.
The tow truck driver.
Yeah.
Well, the tow truck driver says you threw it, and apparently, while you were throwing the last chair, the police officer witnessed you throw the last chair.
The officer did see me throw the chair. That is correct.
Yeah. So, what do you think happens when something falls out of the sky, and if it hits somebody? You think that could kill them?
I was
6 floors.
Here-
not just
wait,
4.
here's the
he
thing.
says 4.
Well,
6 floors. You
Corp,
think-
I'll tell you what happened, whether you care or not. We rented a hotel, which is like an Airbnb.
No, I read it says that you were there, that you had a rental car, and I guess you were upset because the rental car is being repoed.
He shows up in an unmarked truck. There's no lights, no stickers, no nothing.
Right.
He just gets out of the truck and he's going to the car. And I'm like, whoa. We even called the police saying somebody's stealing the car. So
I know that's how they got there so fast to see
I
the
know.
last chair.
So I'm throwing the chair saying this guy's trying to steal our car. I don't know what's going on. I don't know he's a repo agent coming to repo a car from Enterprise Rental Car. Huh. I mean, all I know is I'm in Chicago. I'm there to pick up an ambulance for my business. I have 2 days to get there and drive home. Because if I don't, then technically I'm violating statute by not registering. So,
Is it only 2 days, really?
or something like that. So, all I know is some guy's trying to steal my truck. So I throw a chair to scare him away from the vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
and then I call 911, and then he's still trying to take the truck. So I throw another chair. Whatever.
I'm listening. God damn it.
It's what?
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I'm a criminal, so
No. Jeremy, did you do your time?
sergeant or corporal, they would have fucking let anyone else go on that situation.
Okay,
That
listen.
was bullshit.
The throwing of the chair was the problem. If you listen, a reasonable, prudent person would call the police like you did and wait for them to get there.
Right.
Had you just waited a couple of seconds, the cops would have caught them, and then you would have known exactly what was going on.
Right, but they weren't showing up, and I'm
I know
this
that's
guy is.
frustrating sometimes. It's frustrating, but you know.
And then he said, so he told the officers, I don't know if it's in the report because that's the first time I've seen that. He tells the officers that I said I'm going to shoot him. I'm like, with what fucking gun? I got it off an airplane. It's an impossibility. Anyways, you want to pull up the Windermere stuff now, Court?
What's the Windermere arrest?
Oh yeah, you got that? Because
No, I don't.
I mean, a 2-year-old
I
could
don't
write
have
a
that.
better statement than they wrote.
I'll be honest with you. I don't have it.
Yeah.
I have not read any of those statements.
I can let you read it.
What I do know about it is what I saw in the news. That
Yeah,
was it.
right.
Jeremy.
We're on a funeral escort, and
Please don't
Sergeant,
say-
what's
wait,
his name?
please
Who
don't
used to be a
say-
motor, by the
listen,
way.
Please don't say yeah, right, and the context of you think I'm making it up. Because I'm being completely truthful with you. I have not read any police report dealing with that situation. So I'm being completely honest with you. It has no bearing on what I'm doing here.
Right.
It has no bearing on what Sergeant Vidler's doing.
Right.
And it would be inappropriate that if we're
No, but see, all of a sudden,
Try to
ever since that
implicate that.
incident, now Sergeant Vidler's all of a sudden looking into us. I understand my guys bump lines sometimes, and I
do
do.
you know
them out.
why we're looking at you again?
Why?
Because you've gone from the extreme that you were before, where we've seen video, we've sat down and watched it, where your guys are running people off the road because they get into a funeral procession. Right. A very clear one was when I had you stop for the 2 hours you're talking about, when you had the motorcycle you bought, I think, out of Texas, and it wasn't registered, but you put a plate on it anyway, and we towed the bike. You remember that?
No,
You bought a police.
that was Ken. You didn't tow my motor.
Yeah, we did. We took your motor.
No, you didn't.
We
You
had
took
a
my
tag
baton, my mace.
No. That was that time. There was on one of your escorts. Your guy got further up ahead, and one of my guys that works for me stopped him. We ran the bike. It wasn't registered. It still came back to as a police.
Oh, the
police
Kawasaki.
motorcycle. I told you, Kawasaki.
Yeah.
Yes, remember?
I remember that.
Yeah.
But we had the registration.
No, you hadn't registered it yet, and you told us that. You thought you had, but you hadn't.
No,
And
I hadn't.
Remember when I
Because
told you?
when we went to the DMV, we were able to prove that
Remember when
they
I
didn't
told
put
you-
it through the system.
Yeah, but
or
remember
whatever
when I told
it
you
was.
about the tickets, and you said you've only ever lost one?
Right.
I knew that wasn't true because...
We didn't
multiple-
lose that one.
You did lose them.
No, we didn't.
Okay. So, anyway,
Because I was able to prove that the DMV did register it. They didn't
the
give
point
me...
here is
I'm
that-
listening.
I lost my train of thought there.
Sure,
Let
sure.
me get back on track here. The point of thought, the thing was that there's been complaints, and you saw the one video. So I mean, listen, I can tell you, if somebody was investigating you to do you in, all right, and they didn't want to do anything other than just to do you in, not help you, do you think they would take the time to sit here and talk to you and show you everything they have? When they rather like Chicago, just take you and let you figure it out on your own? Did Windermere share anything with you? They just arrested you, right? Did they share anything with you? I don't know. I'm asking you.
No, the sergeant jumped out of the vehicle and said my name and said, I miss you.
Okay.
Because
So-
he used to be an Orange County sergeant.
And who was it?
And I know his name, and I can't think of it right. I'm really bad with names. And I've had dealings with him. Sergeant... God, Jesus fucking Christ.
I don't even know who it is, so
It's,
that's why I have to ask you.
DeStefano. Sergeant DeStefano. Used to be a Pine Hills, Sector 3 sergeant.
Probably Sector 3 or Sector 1.
Yeah, he pulled me over a few times. Me and him have had dealings, and
Well, the point is,
anyways.
did they talk to you? Did they give you information?
No, they told me my motorcycle was stolen,
Okay.
but it wasn't.
So what we have done is we have given you the opportunity to come talk to us and try to figure out what's going on to get you back on track. When you see a video of you doing something that is clearly, that you know 100% is wrong, when you're doing these charity escorts and the way you do them, 100% wrong, and you know that, okay? When we see that and the public is calling in, this is a different administration. This is not the same administration that you dealt with before. So whatever leeway that administration gave you is over. That's done. Okay? And when they're seeing this and they're going, wait a second, who are these people? And people calling in are saying, those are cops. No, you're not. And when you wear stuff that says public safety officer on the back or it says motor officer, that right there tells people that you're law enforcement. All right? And so that's where we're at now. You have gone so extreme that you've drawn the attention again. And this new administration is not like the old one. They're not going to accept that type of behavior.
Mhm.
All right? The state's not going to accept that type of behavior, especially this times. You know, people are shooting people just because.
Right.
So here you are doing these type of things, stopping cars, directing cars to take certain actions, whether it be to turn, to clear a lane, whatever, and you're blocking lanes of travel, and people are like, I have a right to travel down this road. You're not a cop. You're not doing anything important to me.
Right.
So you're blocking me from going. You can't do that. And so people are getting upset, and they're calling in complaints. So then what do? They go, okay, well, what do we know about these guys?
Mhm.
That's how I got involved, because I've dealt with you since 2013, right? So we've known each other at least that long.
Sure.
So that's how I got involved, is they've come and said, what's going on? So I said, well, this is what we have on them. What happened? Why didn't we do anything before? These guys look like cops. They see the pictures. From 2014-15 till now, you really haven't changed much.
We look exactly the same.
No, you've actually gotten worse because you used to not carry a gun. Now you carry something that resembles a gun, that projects. I'm telling you, it is so close to being a gun that it could go either way. If it went to a jury, it could go either way. Because it projects a missile that can cause an injury. If you got hit in the eyeball with a pepper spray gun that shoots out a paintball size or smaller pepper spray, do you think that could take your eye out?
I can assume so. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I don't need you to say yes or no, because we both know. The purpose of you wearing your uniforms the way you are is because you get more compliance out of the public while you're trying to perform the duty that you're doing. We know that. You don't have to say yes or no to it. I know it, you know it. You know?
Yeah, but we're not saying we're cops.
Doesn't
we're not
matter.
trying
Listen,
to
you don't have
impersonate.
to. Yeah, you don't have to say you are. If you wear that type of stuff, just to get that compliance, okay? That's what it is. We know it. You know it. And that's what I'm telling you. It's gone on long enough now where it's so far gone now where you have people calling in saying, hey, look, this cop, this is PSD. This is our professional standards division, right? They get complaints saying that one of your guys just did this. They're like, one of our guys? None of our motor guys even working today.
Right.
So who is it? So they start going and looking, because we got cameras everywhere. They start looking at all these cameras and they go, oh, that's Metro State. I get every time you all run a red light camera. I get the video. Because
we don't run them before the funeral's entered them.
Yes, you do. And listen, he's not here right now because I gave him all the videos, but he's got a handful of videos that I've been given that shows you all entering in on an intersection with nothing coming and holding the intersection on a red light. You enter it, that's the only way the camera's going to record you, is if you go in on a red light. So it would be impossible. And then it could be seconds, minutes, or even longer. Here comes all of a sudden, the funeral procession. Okay? So I can tell you, you've not done it just with that, you've done it with dump trucks too. And you've escorted dump trucks, right?
Never.
Never? Didn't escort heavy equipment or anything like down the 408?
Never.
And close down all of 408?
For heavy equipment?
If it was for something you were escorting down 408, you close all the lanes.
Never.
Okay.
Never moved any equipment. Never.
Okay.
Never.
All right. It might have been a
I
charity.
would love to see the red light camera things so I can fix it. Just like I told Sergeant Vidler.
This is how you fix it. Listen. Follow the statute.
But
You
you're telling, right.
Listen to me. What he told you could do
Right.
is actually, in my opinion, is stepping outside the statute. However, to make things work for you so you can have a successful business, he's giving you a model that will pass the muster test, okay? He's telling you the exact same way we do it. You have a zero bike, which would be you, the lead of the funeral. The funeral director is saying, take my power of being the lead vehicle, Jeremy, you are now the lead vehicle.
Right.
Jeremy's up at the front. You got 5 guys behind you, staggered. 1 next to you, the 4 behind you, right?
Right.
You say, we're coming up to an intersection. It's a green light. Go ahead and stop right there.
Right.
We're coming up to an intersection. It's a red light. Go ahead and
We slow down.
slow down and stop. We're going to stop. As soon as the light turns green, I need you, the guy next to you, to go ahead and take this and hold it.
Right.
He's going to fall to the back. If he can pass safely, he will. Otherwise, that's where he stays.
Right.
All right? He's telling you to do that. That, in itself, is not exactly what the statute says, but that would work. It would be safe. He's telling you can't have your lights on when you're passing all the vehicles trying to get back up to the front. If you're doing 25 miles an hour, and the speed limit is 35, 40, even if he does 45, he's still under the speed limit, under what the state law mandates. So if it's 40 and he's doing 45, he's still safe, and he catches up. Because these guys are moving 20, he's going to catch up pretty quick, jumps back in, waits for you to send him to the next place,
Right.
or to tell him to hold that position, right?
Right.
Not leapfrogging so far ahead that you're holding a light for 3 or 4 cycles. And on your incident with this deputy, that's what your witness said. The
Or
person-
I'll take a poly. That's bullshit.
I'm telling you, he gave listen to me. Basically everything you said, he said.
That's
As-
bullshit.
as the description he gave.
Were right at the light as it cycled. I watched the
You
car
weren't there.
go. I was back, but I watched the car go. He said the light's turning green. I'm pulling in now. It
Your
didn't
guy
cycle
pulled in,
3 or 4 times.
The light was green
right.
for the opposite traffic. Your guy pulled in on a red light and stopped him. Not just that one witness said that. There's other people there
Oh.
that we didn't even get into.
All right. Cool.
Okay? We've talked to a lot of people with this. I went back and tracked down a lot of people. So you have your witness. I'm using him because he's your witness that you identified.
Yeah.
So he says we sat there for 3 to 4 cycles before the funeral procession even came through. How did you know it was a funeral procession? Well, we didn't until we saw the hearse and the limo. And then it was like there was no cars, and then it was sporadic. They were spread out. And not all of them had their headlights on. A lot of them didn't. Nobody had their hazards on. Nobody had the flags. I mean, this is how he is. This is your witness. This is how he's describing it.
Right.
He said that a vehicle came in, took the intersection, directed traffic out of the intersection. And I know exactly what you're doing because this is what we do, but we do it under the law of the state of Florida. You're holding that one lane so you can jump ahead and have a safe lane to travel in, but you're not legally able to do that. If they can get over there and go up and catch up to the front of the front of the funeral procession where you would be leading it, not jumping all through, you lead it, then that would be the being able to do it without impeding the flow of traffic, without them having to do anything illegal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you had 3 lanes there, so they could have done it. You can't pass a car in the same lane. So if you have a car in this single lane and you ride next to that car but you never cut over, you cannot pass a car in the same lane. Only 2 bikes or 1 car can occupy a space in a lane. That's it. So if you have 2 bikes next to each other, you can't have 3.
Right, no, I agree with that.
If you have a car in that lane, you can't have a motorcycle and a car in that lane. It's 1. And there's video of you passing.
Right. What the funeral
Within-
directors does tell them, because we can't get back to the front on a double yellow, so, and the judge, we've had a judge say, have the funeral directors instruct them to move so you can move between the funeral and the yellow line, which is what we do.
But
we
you
tell
know
them
what I
that
would
we're-
suggest you do then? Is to get that judge to have the state law changed. Because in the funeral, you're saying he's giving you the okay to do that. The only way he can do that is to change the law.
Right.
He can't say that the law does not apply to you.
Right.
The law is very clear on when you're doing escorts. There's no confusing part about that.
Right.
All right? It's black and white. Nowhere to say you can occupy the same lane because you can't pass on. It doesn't tell you you can break one law so you can get ahead and avoid another.
I understand that.
So the only ones that says you can break, that you can not conform to is what it says, is following too closely, right? And what is the other one?
We can continue through traffic control devices once it's legally entered.
That's it.
Right.
And there's actually a third one, but they don't really mention it the same way. That's running with your hazards. You just can't run down the road with your hazards on, correct?
Right.
So basically, those are the only 3 things that it gives exception to. And in all the intersections, is all it's saying is once you've entered it on a green light, or you have stopped at the stop sign, not pulled up to the stop sign, one of you guys holds it, and then you all start coming through.
Right.
Okay? You pull up to the stop sign, everybody comes to a stop, and then you proceed
Right. No, I understand that.
into the intersection,
Yeah.
and then you can continue flowing.
Right.
The point I'm making is that's not how you do it. You'll have somebody go ahead just a little bit, grab that intersection, and hold it so you can keep a good even flow.
Corp, I know for
And I'll
a
tell
fact
you,
on that
if you
funeral-
have 98 cars in a funeral procession and you only have 6 people, including
we're
yourself,
overbooked. Yes.
you're way over.
I
way
agree
over.
with you fully.
We wouldn't do that. We don't do that. That would be 40 of us to do that
I
safely.
agree. I
safely.
understand that.
And not breaking any laws.
I agree. And I yelled at her for that. And I told her that we would never do that again. And the only reason why we're doing that
So
is
you know how
because...
you fix that?
What's that?
You break them up.
We
In
were
the
going to do
groups.
that. We were going to cut them off and break them
so
into
if you have
groups.
6 people, you have a lead and a tail.
Right.
You don't need to stop all the intersections.
Right.
Follow the traffic laws. Just go with the flow of traffic.
Right.
If you stay in the right-hand lane closest to the sidewalk, because I know everybody's kind of confused earlier, it's not the left, in the right-hand lane, and you stay there. When it comes time to get over, then your guy on the tail, he could theoretically just move over, stop traffic so everybody can get over.
Right.
And then you all continue on. But you can't impede the flow of traffic so that no traffic can move. I've seen y'all do it. I just haven't been able to spin around to stop y'all.
Right.
Just like I saw your Ford pickup truck going down the 520 or the 408 a few months ago with all the lights on. I thought I thought at first, when I first saw it, I thought it was Winter Garden or a Coe. Whoever has a car that looks like it's a Coe. I thought it was them. I was like, well, what the hell are they going? Because you all were moving with all the lights on, and it was red and blue lights coming towards me. I was heading east. There was nothing. It was just the truck. You were heading east. I was heading east. The truck was heading west. I couldn't. It was right downtown, so there was nowhere for me to whip around and come back after you.
When
Otherwise,
was that?
I would have.
No,
That's been a few months ago.
Oh.
That's been a few months ago.
I fired a guy not too long ago for using his lights for no reason.
But do you see how that confuses people? You remember Victor Payne? He was a lieutenant here in Motors for a little bit.
Oh, yes. Lieutenant Payne, yes.
Okay. His first impression or dealings with you, because when he came into the unit, Lieutenant Gardner, Captain Gardner now, left. Lieutenant Payne came in, took his place. We briefed him on everything that was going on. And he was like, yeah, well, you know, whatever. His first dealing with you was he was working at a bank off duty.
Right.
He came outside because he heard somebody yelling, and he thought something happened. He stepped outside, he saw one of your bikes,
right,
your BMWs or Kawasaki, whatever it was. And he's like, oh, what's Seminole County doing over here?
Right.
This is Orange County. Saw the person, slapped the hood of the car because they were in a funeral procession, wouldn't get out. Right. Very similar to what we were talking about today, right? So he saw that. When he walked out, says, hey, what are you doing? The person got on their bike and took off. Okay?
Right, I remember that, and we took care of it.
Here is a lieutenant that's been a lieutenant. He's been with the sheriff's office for 20-some plus years at that time. And he thought you were a Seminole County deputy. Mm-hmm. That is a professional law enforcement officer. SWAT guy, all that.
I know.
If anybody would know what a cop looks like, it'd be him, right? Somebody like me, a cop who does this.
Right.
He thought you were Seminole County. Mm-hmm. Do you not see the problem with that?
He thought we were Seminole County. He even told me because we have BMWs and no shitty escort company would have BMWs, he said.
No.
He was shocked.
He knew what kind of bikes you had. He thought you were Seminole County because Seminole County has bikes that look just like that.
Well, yeah.
That's what it was. Don't say because no.
We initially got
company.
BMWs because we didn't want to get Harleys. That was the reason. I honestly, when I started the business, didn't even know Seminole County had BMWs.
But it doesn't matter.
Right.
The point being made is that your bikes and your uniforms resemble that of law enforcement so much that you have a seasoned deputy thinking that you are law enforcement.
Right.
And I've been telling you that since the first time we met. You all look like cops. Right?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I wish Sergeant Vidler was here. I could show you the pictures that we've taken of you. You know, I've been there with you when we've taken them. So that's the issue. You got to change.
But at the end of the day,
appear.
Corporal, do you believe we're impersonating police officers and acting like cops?
I
or do you believe that we
listen,
might be just an overzealous escort company? Honestly, off the record,
I'm gonna
stop the recording.
Don't have to. I'll tell you on recording. I believe, based on your appearance and your actions, it is reasonable for a prudent citizen to think you're a police officer. I have been approached by many people who said, these police officers, and then they describe me, and I go, they're not police officers. Oh, yeah, they are. No, they're not. Because of actions. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that you have to physically push your hand that way. When you turn on your lights and you drive aggressively the way you do, okay, that gives people the impression that you're law enforcement and you're trying to get somewhere in a hurry, or that you're taking command of that roadway. You don't have to give a verbal command. You keep thinking that that's what it is. You don't have to. It's just your mere presence, dressed the way you are. If you were on your bikes with all those fancy lights,
right,
and you didn't have a gun belt on, and you didn't have the uniform on that you have on, it'd be harder to say you're a police officer. Because people look at it and go, that's just a guy on a motorcycle. He's got a bunch of flashing lights. That's all it is.
Right, and then they wouldn't stay in the intersection. And they would just drive through the people that we're escorting and protecting.
Okay? If you're following the law the way you're supposed to and you stay close, they can't get through that intersection. And if you pull up and you stop that intersection, like Sergeant Vidler said you could, right, as the procession's going through, what are they going to drive through? If they continue to drive through. So you just proved my point, you just said it, is that the reason you dress the way you do is because you get more, not respect, but you get more buy-in to what you're doing than if you're not dressed that way. You get more, what's the word I'm looking for? I said it earlier. compliance based on the way you're dressed, because people can easily confuse you as a police officer, not as a security company, because people don't listen to security companies. You know that. You've been a security officer, right?
Before my life changed, sure.
Right. So you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
You know, people buy in. If somebody sees a security officer here and they're arguing with him, the cops show up and the cop says enough, the person listens typically, right? And I know that that's what you're doing, right? You're trying to get that buy-in so that they give you the courtesy and
Not
the
courtesy.
yielding.
The extra 2 or 3 seconds of yielding is what we need for
but
safety.
If we just told you how to do it, and
Right.
we know it works,
Right.
because we do it for a living,
But
and
you're
it
running
works.
red, blue lights.
Listen,
Huge difference.
Listen,
Right.
on some funeral escorts, we don't. On some funeral escorts, we do not.
You're not running lights, but guess what? You're
We will-
dressed in a green uniform with a duty belt.
That's right. And you're proving my point even more. That's why you wear it. Because that
But we
emulates
wear
us.
our gray
So listen to
shirts.
what you're saying.
I'm listening.
You're saying, why would you think I'm a cop or pretending to be a cop? You just said yourself, me pulling into the intersection alone, dressed like this, tells people, even without the lights on, tells people with a duty belt that I'm a cop.
Or it tells somebody that you're doing a detail and you're escorting something.
But I'm a cop.
With a green uniform, yes, and that's why we stay away from the green uniforms. We could have blue shirts, we don't. We could have
That's not correct. That
green
day you
shirts.
did that at that funeral escort, you had somebody in a blue uniform.
Which funeral? We do wear our Class A blues when we do military, fire, or
You
police.
just recently did one, and Sergeant Vidler has the picture of it. I don't have it. Where you all are standing in a line, and one of your guys is wearing a blue uniform. As a matter of fact, he looks so much like a police officer that somebody that looked at the picture thought that was a police officer and is questioning why he was standing in next to you, knowing that you are a Metro State.
We were all in grays, but the one was in blue?
You had probably 1 or 2 guys in green,
Uh-huh.
gray, and then one guy who was standing in the middle of this picture in all blue. Short guy, too. Not very tall.
The car driver.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So you, and it wasn't like a dress blue type.
No, he came from a dress blue escort and then came to help us.
Okay.
But yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Yes.
But do you see
And he's
now
a car driver.
But listen,
I
if he gets
understand.
out of the vehicle and standing there, he looks like a cop. He's got a gun belt on. Nobody wears a gun belt unless you're a cop. Security guards don't even wear the same type of gun belts we wear.
Sure they do. Have
Wait.
you seen PCI?
Well,
PCI
I can
looks-
tell you all the ones that I see here that are out and about. And we're not talking about sitting in front of a building somewhere. That are out and about, moving around, don't wear uniforms like us. And that includes the gun belt, okay? The vest. They don't wear all that stuff. You know that stuff is a felony. If you're breaking the law to perform that duty that you're doing, and you're doing it with the vest on, that's a felony.
If you're committing a crime like robbing a bank or robbing somebody.
It's not just that. It's not just that. Here, I'll give you an example. So you're standing You're standing at an intersection.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is coming through the intersection. You tell them not to.
Right.
You're standing there. Complete habit. Cops do it all the time. They stand there like this. They rest their hands on their belt. Okay? Rest them on their belt.
Sure.
It could be close to their gun. You're coming towards that person. Or that person's coming towards you. And they don't know what you're doing. They don't know you to be a cop. And they see you and they think, he's got his hand on his gun.
Right.
Doesn't mean you do.
Right.
But he sees your hands down there.
Sure.
Okay? So he thinks you got his hands on your gun. And he, whoever the driver is, thinks your hands on the gun and everything. They perceive that as a threat. Because now you're walking at him, yelling at him.
Right.
Could that be construed as an ag assault?
Yeah, sure.
Because you're not a police officer, right?
Right.
Okay, and you're not a security company.
Right.
You're not performing a specific duty that would require a firearm.
But we're not wearing firearms.
The general public doesn't know that. Your
Right.
gun looks like a real gun in your holster. That's the point I'm making.
Sure.
That's ag assault. And now you have that vest on. That's your felony. You giving any kind of direction to people to pull over or get out of your funeral procession, however you want to describe it, that's pulling over. Okay? Because you've already said he had nowhere to go but to stop behind my vehicle. That's pulling a vehicle over. That's forcing them to come to a stop. Okay? That in itself is a crime. It's enhanced by you wearing the vest now to a felony.
Great. So I've admitted to committing a felony, so you guys are going to come and get me on that. Is
No,
what you're saying.
I'm not telling you that. I'm trying to tell you to stop doing this stuff. Listen, my job today is to educate you again and to make sure you understand again and that there is no, maybe I misunderstood or whatever. You cannot do these escorts the way you've been doing them. You cannot do these community escorts at all. If you want to escort, you follow all the exact same traffic laws as everybody else. You can't hold an intersection. Can't do it. All right? Now, I know big police rides, big firefighter rides, big civilian rides. When they do these big rides, the chief of police come in and, well, they use law enforcement. They can do that because they have that power. But when you have these big motorcycle rides, okay, everybody, and nobody's going to deny it. Nobody's going to say anything. If you have 40 bikes in a group, and they're coming up to a stop sign, they stop, and then the first bike goes and everybody follows and keeps going, I can pretty much guarantee you, and when I tell you I can pretty much guarantee you, me personally, okay, because I can't speak for every police officer or deputy sheriff or FHP trooper or whoever in the state of Florida, but I can pretty much tell you the common sense would say, let them move on, because trying to get 40 bikes through piece by piece, even at 2 at a time, the congestion is going to drop. It's better to get them on and out of the city, because normally they're just riding through a city to get to a back road.
Right.
Get them out. Nobody's going to say nothing. So if you had your bike in front and you had your hazards on riding down the road, just your hazards, okay, and then you had somebody in the back, even if you had a couple in the front and a couple in the back, and nobody's going to say nothing.
Right.
They're going to be like, hey, you know what? They're just making sure everybody sees them coming. Not all your flashing lights, just your hazards.
Mm-hmm.
Amber in the front, red in the back, or amber in the back, because that can be for the hazards, right? Turn signals, hazards. That's it. Nobody's going to say anything. All right? That's what Sergeant Villa was trying to tell you.
Right.
Your business model, okay, from what I've been brought up to speed on, between your bikes, your tow truck, and your ambulance, your whole ambulance thing,
If I can ever get it going.
I am telling you, those are brilliant. They're a needed service. They're brilliant. But when you don't follow the law, and you drive so much or attract so much attention to you, and you profess yourself to be something you're not by the way you present yourself, meaning uniform, motorcycle, and all that stuff, that right there will get you shut down so quick, because they're going, this guy's out of control. What is he doing? I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, the ambulance thing, that's brilliant.
But at the same time...
The tow truck thing, this is what I heard, and you can tell me, because I've heard a couple of different things, and I hope you're going to do it legally, but I've heard one thing that you're going to do, the tow truck thing where you're going and picking up cars. So if somebody buys a car online, and they trade in a car, you go pick that car up,
No,
and you
that's
tow
not,
it.
we don't even do that. We only do... Right now, we currently only do
Hey, sorry it took so long to
wrecked
print it.
vehicles for insurance, where the insurance company says the car's totaled.
Oh, and you go get it?
That's it. And then we take it to the Copart. We don't even do roadside assistance or any of
Listen
that.
to me. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's something as simple to incorporate into your business. The ambulance thing. I was told, like, moving patients back and forth from a nursing home or, like, going
Inter-facility
for...
transport.
Yeah. That is brilliant. I mean, I know there's other companies out there that do it, but that's brilliant to get that little corner of the market, because there's not enough of them.
Right.
So that's why I was telling you, your business plan is great. It's just how you're doing it and how you present yourself as, like, and we've talked about it, you've already said, kind of like a police officer. That's what's getting you in all this issue. That's why we're here.
All right.
So you got to get you on track, man.
All right, sorry it took so long.
That's okay.
My printer didn't work, my internet didn't work, I had to go further out there, I ended up having to hand write it. Normally it's just automated.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it happens every now. All right, so like I said, you are in violation of the workman's comp statute. You need to have workman's comp.
Okay.
They are not 1099 employees, they are your employees.
Okay.
So this is a stop work order. It's telling you to cease all business operations until you come into compliance.
Okay.
It's for failing to have workman's comp pursuant to the statute. The stop worker includes, it will be in effect until we release you. How do you get released from the stop worker? That's what you want to know, right?
Sure.
You want to go back to work. You have to come into compliance. There are several ways you can come to compliance. You close your business. We don't want to do that. You get a workman's comp policy. You fire all your people and just work by yourself and get an exemption. Those are the top three. From what I heard you say is you're perhaps going to go ahead and get a workman's comp policy.
Right.
That may take a few days. I'm going to be honest with you. You're not going to call like a car insurance and you're going to say, I got a 1999 Honda, here's my down payment, here's my VIN number, and they issue an email that says you're in compliance, take your certificate to DMV, you got coverage. It doesn't work like that.
Okay.
It can be, I've seen businesses get them in 24 hours. I've seen a business get them in 3 hours. That's not the norm. So I'm just giving you the range of what can happen. It depends on who you are, who you meet with.
Okay.
So once you show me proof that you are in compliance and have workman's comp policy, and then you have to pay $1,000 minimum penalty made out to the department. Once I have those two things, I meet with you again. I give you release to go back to work. In addition, you're going to have an audit, like I mentioned briefly. It's a 3-month, February, March, April, June. From the time you opened your corporation, from 2/15/19 to 2/26/19 is an audit of your business functions. That is due in 10 days. These are the categories that you have to produce. I can go over it one by one. The first item is your employer identification number, your PIN number, your payroll. You said you don't have payroll. You have account documents, contracts for work. If you had those independent contractor records, you could produce those. This part is to assess a penalty in addition to the $1,000. The $1,000 is the minimum. This is production of records for a penalty assessment. We're going to assess your records and see, the audit team, not me, the audit team is going to see if you've been out of compliance that whole time or just one day or whatever your records produce. If you were just operating the first day you opened this business and you didn't have any business employees, then that records will show that. This component is phase 2. The reason I'm giving it to you is because you have 10 days to produce those records. Those records go to the auditor, which is all that information's on here. You give that to the auditor. In order to get a reduction of your penalty, the state also provides a way for you to reduce your penalty. The $1,000 will always be there, but if your penalty is higher than that, there's 2 ways you can reduce it and keep getting it lower. If you get these records to the department in 10 days, you get 25% off that. When you get your workman's comp policy, if you decide to get that, you get whatever premium you pay towards your workman's comp policy, a down payment usually, or if you pay the whole amount in full, you get that off your penalty. So let's say your penalty turns out to be $3,000. You minus the $1,000 that you put down as a down payment. If you get your records in time and they're complete, you take 25% off of the $3,000. And if you make a $500 payment, you get that taken off as well. That all depends, but the most important thing is getting you into compliance. This is still part of compliance. It's phase 2 of the compliance. Now we're going to see, the state's going to see if you've been out of compliance and for how long. That's the phase 2. This is your notice of rights. You talked about an attorney. This page talks about your notice of rights. You have a right to protest or request a hearing within 21 calendar days. At the time you get this, you have to file it to the Julie Jones agency. You just write it. Here's all the information for me. This will still run together, so that run all at once, meaning it's going to keep going. If you protest it, the stop worker still stays in effect. It doesn't stop your proceedings. This is where it says the penalty would be 2 times the amount of what you would pay in a premium. This is part of the assessment. The 2 times is the state's calculation for your penalty. So there's a methodology that the auditors and the state use by statute. And everything I'm telling you is statute based. It's not discretionary. Everything that we're talking about is all state statute. The penalty, the stop work order, the 10 days, the business record request, the audit period, everything is statute based. It's not like discretion, I'll pick a few days, I'll just do 3 months, I'll do a year. The reason, it's normally a 2-year audit, but your business only started on paper in February. So that's as far back the statute allows us to go at the time you start your business. So you have to decide how you're going to come into compliance. And my job is to kind of guide you.
By allowing her to make me LLC screwed me.
Who's that? I lost you on that.
No,
Who's
no.
LLC?
You've had your business for 10 years. She is saying, I'm not going to go back on you for 10 years. I'm only going to give you the benefit of the doubt and only go back until February.
So whoever made you an LLC saved your ass.
Yes.
Oh.
Because if she went back 10 years,
Yeah.
and she's saying double the penalty, and because they're going to go to businesses that you've done business with and pull files and everything, and they're going to see the kind of money you made. So she's saying, we're looking only from February forward. We're trying to work with you. Help us out.
Right. And if you fail to do, like, just say, the heck with the state, I don't want to turn no records in, then what we do is the state has a statute that called impute. Impute is a fancy word for saying we have a statute that allows us to determine the rate of pay that you pay your employees based on what they call the average weekly wages, which is a state number. So when you produce your records, your payments to your checks to your employees, that's the calculations that they're going to use to assess a penalty based on how much money you were paying your employees and didn't have workman's comp when you should have. So basically, if you look at it, like, I know it's a lot to take in, and the audit side is different than the compliance side. The compliance side, like I said, is trying to get you into compliance. Right? You have to make a business decision on how you want to come into compliance, because that's what you want to do. You want to keep operating. If you don't, it's $1,000 a day for operating on a stop work order. And that's written in the language here. 1,000 penalty per day for each day the violation shall be assessed. So getting to compliance, you have to decide how you're going to come into compliance.
Okay.
You can get a workman's comp policy. If you want to fire all your employees, you'd have to write an affidavit stating you fired them all, list who they are, their names, fire them all, then they can't be working. You can't just give me the statement, fire them, and have them out there. You have to say you're not employing them, and you can hire somebody else. You can subcontract it out to someone that has, there's other ways. You yourself can continue to work if you file an exemption. You just yourself, but you cannot file that exemption now because there's a hold on your business until you meet with me and get the release. Once you get released, then you can file your exemption. At that point, you're not a sole proprietor. You're not a type of business that, like, you're a construction person. We see that's a lot in construction. I come on a job site. There's 2 people working.
Because everybody else ran.
Yeah, they swim now across the lake.
They swim.
They don't run anymore. So anyway, they come into compliance by filing exemption because it's just them. They don't have employees to fire. Maybe their helper, their son, their brother, they'll fire that person because they're on the site working with 2 people and they only can have one. That's why I said earlier we see a lot of exemptions in the construction industry. There is another way that you can come into compliance. Your corporation, I didn't print it out, but your corporation, like I said, doesn't have you as an officer. It has you as the registered agent, which is fine. If you make yourself an officer and you add me as an officer and corporal as an officer, you can exempt those 2 and us 3 can work together because we all have exempts. So that's something you can think about. It's kind of a, I'm not going to say a loophole, but it's the statute allows that.
It is, but I had my business, that's how I did it. Everybody that was officers were exempt
Exactly.
because, and then we were able to have 1 or 2 employees that were
Exactly.
also exempt
Under the
because-
threshold.
Under the threshold, if you're under the threshold. So I was able to operate my business and avoid that. Once I got bigger, I had to
Hey,
pay.
right.
But one thing doing that, you got to remember, as far as the IRS, when you file,
You still got to pay your taxes. You got
each one has
FICA.
to claim, has to be, will have a separate tax from the business of what the business earned, what they earned. That's, yeah.
There's payroll companies out there
Right,
that
that's
you
another
can go
one.
to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rent your employees, so to speak.
and they will do everything. They'll do the workers' comp,
Yep.
everything for you.
Yep.
Basically, let's say all you guys, you go hire a
Leasing
payroll company. What they do is they take a percentage. So let's say you make $1,000 today, they take 10%, right? And then they write your checks, they do all your payroll, they hold back the FICA, they hold back the Social Security, all that stuff for you. You don't have to worry about any of that. They turn over that at the end of each month and at the end of each quarter, because you've got to file quarterly or depending annually or whatever. They turn all those over for you so you can file them with the state, and they have all the taxes. They pay for it. You don't have to worry about all that. They take care of all of that for you. You're gonna have to pay for it until you learn how to do your own books. It's worth paying for. Me personally, I had a business and I had a expensive business. I paid for a payroll company all the time because it's safer. If you make a mistake, it's on you. They make a mistake as part of their contract. They're telling you they're the professionals, so they become liable.
And that is another option. Thank you for reminding me. It's on here. I was just a lot to cover. you can get a leasing company. So instead of going to insurance company, you can go to what they call professional employment organizations. It's called a leasing company, short as professional employment organizations. And you say, hey, I got a business, I got 10 employees, I need you to hire them, so to speak, and put them with my business. So they would come in and they become like the HR of your business.
Okay.
That's probably the best analogy that's
It is.
clear cut. They're the HR part. You want to hire me? You say, Linda, go meet the HR. You give me the paper. I fill out my social. I fill out everything, and then you give me the
Application. They do a true
application,
application.
a verification, e-verify. Then the PEO will call you and say they're good to work, and they're covering workman's comp, and you pay them, like you said, a fee. That's probably maybe a quicker process, something you can call and just, get. Then I would need verification from them that you got 10 employees or 25 or whatever amount you have. And I need verification that they're covering your business and however many people they're covering. It's 1 or 10 or whatever you want. But the exemption part is also going to take a minute, because in order to put me on your corporation or two of your highest, responsible people on your corp, that takes a minute to go to SunBiz, and then you can exempt them. And the good thing about LLC and non-construction, you can have up to 10, I believe.
And they can be like your secretary,
Manager,
treasurer, manager,
right, vice president.
Yeah. Somebody doesn't have voting powers. They're just members of your board.
They have to own, for workman's comp, they have to have 10% ownership.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah, they have to have 10%.
ownership. So again, you're gonna have to get an accountant, because then at the end of the year, you got to show the profit of the company
Or the loss.
or the loss, and each one is 10%. Whatever percentage of the company, they take that out of the company.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about, how that, but I'm sure they're giving you the right advice as far as that in regard to how that will work. But in construction, you can only have 3 exemptions, and that's it. There's no more. So non-construction, you have another benefit is you can add 5 people, 6 people, add them to your corp. And let's say all of a sudden you have a disagreement or someone dies, or you just take them off your corp and you take their exemption off and you substitute it with someone else. Of course, all that costs money. There's fees involved for adding and deleting. The fee for our exemption is free. There's no cost. Construction it is, but I'm speaking for you, it's free. You just go online. So it's a lot of information to take up. If you want to meet with me again tomorrow, I'll make myself available. I need to know when you're going to come in compliance. You don't have to, tell me today. I'll give you a day or so.
I'll try to find this leasing thing that you guys talked about.
Okay, so just Google. I can't recommend anybody. I'm not sure if it's on our website.
What is it called again?
Professional Employment Organization,
Okay.
PEO, leasing. There's lots of them around.
Just look at payroll. Google payroll companies.
Right.
And basically that's what they do.
Okay.
But you're going to need these guys' last names and socials. You said earlier that you didn't have all that
I'll get all
stuff.
that at
Yeah,
that point.
yeah. And I'm going to need their last names. I need your email address too, real quick, if you just want to write it here on this paper.
Now, just for clarification.
On the side here like that?
Anywhere, yeah.
Just for our clarification too, so everybody's understand. A stop work order is his trucks, if it says Metro State, cannot be driven on the road because it is a company truck, correct?
If he's doing it in that capacity, yes. Yeah.
Right, because we won't be, that's all I drive is a marked vehicle, so if it's not for work capacity, then I'm good, but I don't have any personal vehicles, so.
Right. As long as you're not performing the functions of
Performing
your
an escort,
business.
sure, of
Right.
course.
Just the towing, any of that stuff.
Whatever comes under the scope of your business.
Well,
That's why
Metro
we
State
kind of
PPU
established that.
Isn't TRU, right?
What's TRU?
That's the towing, so that's a whole different.
That's under workers' comp too, that needs
Right.
workers' comp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it all comes under this.
If it's a business and you're running it, you have to be in compliance.
Right,
And
no, I
it all
agree with
sa-
that.
yeah,
I
it all
understand
says
that.
Metro State, and you only have one SunBiz account, and you've listed kind of everything under that umbrella. So even your tow truck falls under that umbrella.
So these are the documents. There's the ones I went over. So this is a stop work order. This is the notice of rights. This is the 2 ways to reduce your penalty. It explains the initial down payment and your 10 days to get a discount. This is where you make your money order out $1,000, cashier's check to admin trust fund. This lady's who gets the records, not me. You send them to Miss Nunez. These are the records you need to send to her. If you miss the deadline and it takes 11 days, the harm is you just don't get the 25% discount. I highly recommend you do it because you don't know what your penalty is going to be, and I would want 25% off of any future penalty. If you get them in on time and your penalty is only $500, no harm lost. You've already paid your minimum of $1,000.
Sounds good.
So I'm here, like I said, I'll make myself available to you by phone.
Can I get your card again?
I left it here. No.
You just gave him one because you.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. You
got
did.
it.
I'm sorry, it's right here.
Yeah, I'll make myself available when I have an open stop worker. These take priorities over other inspections and other things. It's not like I can't meet you, I'm doing something else. You guys take priority because our job is to get you in compliance. We're not
That
trying
and they
to.
don't want to like hold you up to where they wind up penalizing you more because of them.
Right. And
what
the other thing that you'll see on here, that's very important to notice, and I think it's on this one, maybe not. Yes, it is. Up to a $5,000 penalty for each employee who the employer misclassifies as an independent contractor.
I don't understand. I'm sorry.
If you misclassify your employees as independent contractors, you can have up to a $5,000 penalty for each employee.
Okay, so
You're
you're
not-
telling me they're not independent contractors.
Right, but we're not assessing you a violation for that.
Okay.
What she's saying is she's going to allow you to come into compliance.
compliance.
She's going to allow you, because she has now informed you that maybe there was a misunderstanding of what you thought a 1099 is, okay? So therefore, instead of penalizing you, she's going to give you a ride on that. So when she interviews your people, if they regurgitate after it's already been on video that they said that they were paid employees, and then they say, well, because she has the right to do it, that, well, he told us to say that we're 1099, they're going to come back after you, and it could be up to $5,000 per employee.
For each one.
And if they talk to 25 to 30 people, multiply that by 5,000.
Sure, no, I agree.
So that's why I told you, now's the time to be completely honest, so she gets you on the correct path.
Right.
I mean, have we told you anything about doing your business that would hurt you? Everything's been trying to help you, right? Would you
Right.
agree with that?
So far, yeah.
Okay.
What's this Metro State? What's
VPU@gmail.com.
VPU? Okay. All right. I will correspond with you also. Is that the best way? Email, and your cell is, what is it, 808?
407-808-6573.
Okay. All right. Do you have any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If you need some guidance, like I said, I'll need your agent, your PEO agent, or your workman's comp agent to email me the compliance side.
Sure.
If you want to do the SunBiz and add some people to that, to get into compliance and then exempt them, that can be done in our office. You may be able to expedite the SunBiz. I have seen businesses, depending on SunBiz, where I give them the stop work order today. Tomorrow morning in my computer, I pull up Metro State Specialized Service VPU, and it says there's new officers all of a sudden. You can do that. Sometimes they do what they call an amended report, and you can do it online, like pretty much immediately, like 24 hours.
Just gotta have a credit card. Cause
It's going to be a fee.
It's
don't
a small
35.
fee.
How do you do that?
Go on to the website, SunBiz.
I'm writing it down right now.
Yeah, it's not hard.
You go to sunbiz.org and then you do annual report.
I gotta run, but
Yeah, thank you.
all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Personally, I can't believe these officers and whatever are going as far to help Jeremy navigate the SunBiz Florida website, showing him how to file an annual report for his LLC. How far is it going to go? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed listening to this. I hope you left some good notes down below in the comments area that we can all peruse. There's a lot of information to take in. This was over 4 years ago, about 4 years ago. So looking back, knowing what we know now, it's very interesting to hear all this stuff. I appreciate you watching PoliceTube's Far Removed Uncle right here on YouTube. Glad you're subscribed. Glad you're listening. Look forward to reading your comments. Hope you have a great day. As always, have yourself a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.